Summit Heating and Cooling is celebrating our boys in red back-to-back championships with our back-to-back rebate. Through February, Summit Heating and Cooling is supporting Lennox's winter rebate with a matching rebate. That's up to $3,000 off a system price, and you still get the qualifying utility rebates. Let's fight for our right to Lombardi. Remember, if you're looking for the top, reach for the Summit. Summit Heating and Cooling. Visit us at summithckc.com or call us today at 816-832-7770.
It's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Hot Tub Sale. We have hot tubs coming in every week. No need to wait for months. Come get your dream hot tub today. Family Leisure also has pools in stock for spring installation. Don't go another summer without a pool for your family. Come in and see our huge selection of patio furniture. Family Leisure is your one-stop shop for pool tables, shuffleboard, bar stools, and home theater seating. All priced to go. Mention 810 and save more at Family Leisure in Olathe.
913-888-7727. Awesome!
This is the Sports Radio 810 postgame show on Kansas City's home for the National Football League. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Brought to you by Operating Engineers Local 101 Apprentice Program. Learn how to operate all types of heavy equipment. Call 816-640-2336. And by CBD American Shaman. Come on into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress-sacking CBD. Everything is better with the feather.
The Run It Back campaign falls exactly one game short tonight as the Chiefs are, believe it or not, blown out of the water in Super Bowl 55. Welcome into the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show. I'm Joshua Briscoe here with you for a good long while. We'll have plenty of time to take your comments, to take your calls, to hear from everyone who spoke at the podium tonight, and to dissect what exactly happened in this game. I'll tell you a bunch of ways you can interact with us, and then I'm going to get into the big overarching storylines. And then we'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Anthony Hitchens, Andrew Wiley. We'll hear from a lot of players and coaches on both sides of the field. But this one's going to be a little bit of a tough one to swallow, I can imagine, for pretty much everyone throughout Chiefs Kingdom. I will say that on some level, I gained an even greater appreciation for the fact that last year's version of this show started with party poppers and party horns and celebration and corks popping, because if these games would have been flipped, if the Chiefs would have had an AFC Championship game loss and then a Super Bowl loss, it would have felt much more, to me at least, like there was some sort of continuation of this fictional curse, when right now, I think what we know is that there's a game here that did not go in the Chiefs' favor. Where now in 3 years, they have one ring, one AFC Championship win, one AFC Championship loss to show for what these 3 years with Patrick Mahomes have been so far. But obviously, this game was tremendously disappointing. If you want to interact with the show, you can watch the show live in 3 different places: on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook page, the Sports Radio 810 YouTube channel, and the Sports Radio 810 Twitch channel, facebook.com/Sports Radio 810, twitch.tv/Sports Radio 810, youtube.com/810WHB. Also, in any of those places, you can leave your comments, and we'll take some questions. We'll read some comments. I'll tell you one thing we've seen a lot of times in the chat during the last few versions of Almost Entirely Sports. You can chat with each other. Maybe we'll have some little support groups in the comment section. I'm sure that wouldn't be that would be nice to have as well. But here's what I'm going to tell you before we start getting to audio and everything. This game was brutal. This game was not close. This game was devastating. And I don't think that this game was complicated. There are going to be a lot of terrible, terrible, terrible takes. There already have been based on this game. And some of them will show up tonight. Some of them will show up tomorrow. Some of them will show up in 5 and 10 years. But I think that if you take the information that I'm going to give you, if you hear out my argument, I think I can genuinely, honestly make the case to you that this game was not difficult to understand. It was difficult to watch. It was very, very unusual. It was painful, honestly. but I don't think it was terribly difficult to decode. It's not one of those games where I think whenever I'm driving home tonight, listening to The Weeknd very loudly, that I'm going to be going, man, I just don't know what happened there. And you would think, honestly, that in a game like this that ended up being such a throttling, Patrick Mahomes hadn't lost by more than one possession since college. The Chiefs didn't score a touchdown tonight in the biggest game of the season. And yet, I think I understand what we saw. It's terrible, but I think it makes sense. The Chiefs got no pressure all night long on Tom Brady. What did we tell you all week? What did we tell you this morning on the pregame show that Ali Trost and I did? Tom Brady this year was superb whenever he wasn't pressured, and he turned into a pumpkin whenever he was. He was not pressured tonight. Frankly, I think the defense didn't do as bad a job as the final score is going to show you. I think if the offense had held up their end of the bargain, we'd be talking about this defensive performance very differently. But one thing that I was a little bit surprised by and deeply disappointed by, the pressures were not as exotic or nearly as successful as I expected them to be. I don't know if something changed with the defensive game plan. I don't know if it just wasn't working. Hard to say for sure without being able to go rewatch them and get some more information from the film and from the stats on that in terms of how often were they actually blitzing. But it felt like it was a bit of a timid effort defensively in terms of the aggressiveness that we've grown so used to seeing from Steve Spagnuolo's defense. And honestly, I'm willing to say I might be wrong on how often they blitzed or how heavy the blitzes were whenever they came. What I know I'm not wrong about is that they were not nearly successful enough. Tom Brady was excellent this year when he wasn't pressured. He turned into a pumpkin when he was. There was no pumpkining out there on the field tonight. Brady was bothered very, very, very infrequently. Patrick Mahomes was under siege all night long. We talked about the backup offensive line. The one thing in this game that I could not have been more wrong about is that I had talked myself into this offensive line holding up fine in this game. They'd lose some reps. I figured there would be some pressure from that Buccaneers front four, between Vita Vea being back and Ndamukong Suh and Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul coming off the edges. But I didn't think it would be debilitating because nothing is ever really debilitating to Patrick Mahomes in this offense. And it was debilitating. I was wrong about that, and it caught me very much by surprise. Seemed like the receivers were having a genuinely difficult time getting open. Here's my first stat of the night from Ben Baldwin. Tom Brady's time to throw is 1.2 seconds faster than Patrick Mahomes's, which was 3.47 seconds, versus Brady's 2.27. About 3.5 seconds per throw would have been the longest time to throw in the league this year. Backups or not, it's very hard for a line to pass protect for that long. Something that Tyreek Hill said. We'll play the audio in a little bit. But he said that the Buccaneers threw a lot of cover 2 and cover 4 zone coverages at them tonight. They prepared for man coverages. He said they just had a better game plan. That's a tough pill to swallow. The fact that the Chiefs didn't adjust to that at halftime, come out looking different in the second half, is really, it's an enormous letdown. Just huge. Also, though, I'll note that part of the reason I think Patrick Mahomes' that he was holding the ball for as long as he was, that number is so high, is twofold. One is because of what Hill was referring to there. They just weren't getting open often enough. Travis Kelce referred to that tonight as well. Everyone's taking blame, after a loss like this. No one is saying it's their fault, really. Everyone's kind of taken their hits on this one. But if Patrick Mahomes is holding onto the ball for 3.5 seconds, something's going on in the secondary there that is not working for these Chiefs pass catchers. We never, in the Patrick Mahomes era, we have not seen that be as true as it was tonight. Sammy Watkins was back, and you may not have noticed. What do you judge? Beards, did I just surprise you that Sammy Watkins actually played?
No, I think the first time I noticed him, I think he drew a holding call, late in the third or fourth, and then he had one catch.
He had one catch.
All he did.
He had one target, one catch, 13 yards. Demarcus Robinson had a catch. McCole Hardman had a handful of targets. He actually had 6 targets. 2 of them were caught for a total of 4 yards. This game, much like the Bills game, but much less successfully, all of Patrick Mahomes' targets went to Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, just not very successfully. And a lot of those yardage, those chunks of yards came in essentially garbage time, something I did not expect to see the Chiefs have in a Super Bowl. So the receivers weren't getting open. Also, some of the times Patrick Mahomes was holding onto the ball for 5 or 6 seconds, he was doing it 30 yards behind the line of scrimmage, running for his life. Just a failure of epic proportions from the offense. And I've never said that about the Chiefs offense because it's never been true. I'm not being hyperbolic. I certainly don't want to be hyperbolic. I'm just telling you, this was the worst game we've seen from the Chiefs offense with Patrick Mahomes here. And I could not tell you a close second. It looked absolutely debilitated all night long, which they never successfully adjusted from. Early in the game, to add to this, you had some mistakes from some role players, but you had huge mistakes from stars. It would have been an incredible catch, and it was an outstanding throw early in the game, but Tyreek Hill had a touchdown, hit him in the face mask. Him getting his body around there, getting up to that ball was an achievement in and of itself. But once the ball got there, it went through his hands and hit him in the face mask. That is a star making a mistake. Chris Jones, even though he wasn't the first one to incite some sort of activity early in the game, he got the personal foul penalty because he was the second guy. He got called for it, and instead of having third and relatively long for the Buccaneers, they got a free first down. That's a mistake from your star. Travis Kelce dropped what would have been a long third down conversion. That's a mistake from your star. Andy Reid, I think you can put a series of things on him and say, look, man, now look, Twitter's lost its mind, and that has happened many times over. But in this game, you have an offense that did not function. They never seemed to fully adjust to try to protect Patrick Mahomes in a way that wasn't just leave Mike Rimmers and Andrew Wiley out there, or at the very least, whatever they tried wasn't working. I want to at least be clear in my critique. I don't know that they didn't try anything. I do know what they tried did not work. Plus, you have that timeout that ended up giving the Buccaneers a chance, and they capitalized on it to score another touchdown at the end of the first half. The timeout on 3rd and short, listen, I understand what they were trying to do there. They thought if we get a stop here on, I believe it was 3rd and 2, then we get the ball back. Patrick Mahomes gets another chance to go make this thing a little bit tighter by halftime. But it felt like they were lucky to not be down by more than they were at that point. And they called the timeout. The Buccaneers capitalized on it. They had, in that first half, on both sides of the ball, some incredibly untimely penalties. Many of them arguable. Many of them did not seem like good calls. The one in the end zone was ridiculous. It nearly hit the base of the wall at the back of the end zone. A completely uncatchable ball. They called it defensive pass interference, put the ball on the 1-yard line. That call was terrible. The one on Bashaud Breeland, he and Mike Evans kicked feet, and then Breeland went down first and kind of tapped Evans down with him. I'm never surprised to see those called, but I was disappointed by it because it also stunk. But you have untimely penalties. You have holding on Charvarius Ward that was unrelated to the play that cost an interception that should have been Tyrann Mathieu. Give you all of those things. If there was going to be, ahead of this game, a blueprint that had, and by the way, and they couldn't cover tight ends. They couldn't cover Gronk. If you're going to ask me to build you a blueprint before the game as to how this thing could go wrong, that's what it would look like. But I would have told you there was about a 2% chance of all of those things happening. And all of those things happened. And it ended in a blowout loss that nobody saw coming. Nobody. Seth Walder tweeted that Patrick Mahomes ran a total of 497 yards before his passes or sacks tonight, according to Next Gen Stats. That's the most pre-throw or pre-sack yards run by any quarterback in any game this season. Patrick Mahomes ran for just under 500 yards behind the line of scrimmage today. I believe I saw that Tom Brady ran for 30-something, just like on the move. This might be the most devastating of all of them. My other sort of opening stat here. Mina Kimes tweeted this, quoting ESPN Stats and Info. Patrick Mahomes was pressured on 29 of 56 dropbacks, the most of any quarterback in Super Bowl history. Brady was pressured on 4 of 30, the lowest of his Super Bowl career. If you would have shown me that stat line before the game, I would have been mortified. And I guess I am now. I really thought the Chiefs were going to win this game. I thought the Chiefs were going to win this game whenever they were down, whatever it was early, by a touchdown, by 9 points, whatever it was early on. Felt pretty good about, you know what? The one thing I was concerned about still was not the mistakes that we just referred to, and a lot of those did not rear their ugly heads once again, but I was a little bit concerned about the offensive line, but I thought, you know what? I bet they'll be able to adjust to the issue here, and they're going to look like a better team on the other side of the halftime show. And they did not. It was 21-6 at halftime, and it just never got better. Never turned around. They held Mike Evans to 1 reception for 31 yards. Antonio Brown had 5 for 22. Chris Godwin had 2 catches for 9 yards in this game. The corners, which we talked so much about this week, were not bad. I told you, I made the case all week long. The Chiefs actually matched up pretty well with Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, and all of the receivers. What was the concerning part? Well, the Chiefs haven't been very good covering the running backs or tight ends this year. Or ever. But they've been better this year than they were last year, but that was still the more concerning bit. Gronk, 6 for 67, 2 touchdowns. Leonard Fournette, 4 for 46. All of their receivers, relatively innocuous performances. But Brady, 2 yards at a time, it felt. Gronk, Fournette, Gronk, Fournette. Handed it off to Fournette and Ronald Jones, averaging 5.6 and 5.1 yards per carry, respectively. Just taking free yards in front of them. Just an absolute steamrolling all over. Again, I mentioned this a second ago. I'm going to say this again. You can look at 31 points and you can say the defense didn't pressure Brady enough. And that's absolutely true. But he was going to his running backs and tight ends regularly. He was getting rid of the ball quickly. The corners in this game did their jobs just fine. But covering Gronk was a problem. Covering the running backs was a problem. But the biggest problem was that an offense with Patrick Mahomes didn't score a touchdown. And it was honestly no fault of Patrick Mahomes's. The throw to Tyreek Hill that I mentioned earlier, and then the one where he was, this is not an exaggeration, find the still image on Twitter, where Patrick Mahomes was horizontal to the ground, and he threw a 30-yard dart, and it hit Darrell Williams in the face, and he couldn't hold on. There were these plays earlier. If Hill catches that touchdown, what does that do to change things? If you have Travis Kelce make that catch on 3rd and whatever it was, 8, I think, you move the chains. Who knows what happens? They had big plays that the quarterback made. The quarterback put into the hands or face of his receivers, and they just didn't get caught. The thing we talked about for 2 weeks leading up to this game was that this game was going to have an outsized impact on conversations 10 years in the future about Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Probably unfairly, probably unreasonably, certainly unfortunately. But it's going to happen. Brady has 7 rings, Mahomes has 1, but that one there in the middle, at the end of Brady's career and towards the beginning of Mahomes' career, that went to Brady in a head-to-head victory. That's going to be a part of this conversation forever. And I think Patrick Mahomes is going to... I'm already prepared to be making the argument in 10 years that it doesn't matter that Mahomes only won 4 or 5 to Brady's 7 or 8. But that Mahomes is actually the greatest thing I've ever seen at court. I'm mentally prepared to make that argument 10 years in the future. But winning Super Bowls is really hard. I have no idea how many Patrick Mahomes is going to end up winning. And the way that we measure so much about the quarterback position in the NFL, again, in a deeply unfortunate way, it goes to championships and rings, even though the supporting casts in this game could not have been more different. And look, if you're a regular listener to the Sports Radio 810 postgame show, if you're a regular listener to Almost Entirely Sports, if you're a regular listener to me in any form, you're going to know that what I just said is not a frequent take of mine because it's not frequently correct. It's never correct. I get no joy from saying the Chiefs supporting cast. And look, man, it's pass catchers, offensive line, defense, coaching staff. It's everybody underperformed in this game compared to what Patrick Mahomes was doing. And he wasn't perfect, but he was really flipping good. And there's very little evidence of that in the stat sheet, which is really frustrating. But Tom Brady has his 5th Super Bowl MVP and his 7th ring. And he got the MVP because his defense's pass rush was an absolute menace in this game. Their secondary held up extremely well, playing a ton of zone that the Chiefs were not expecting. And his short passes to Rob Gronkowski and Leonard Fournette, 2 guys that this offseason were barely in the league. I mean, you could go back to Gronk unretiring. Leonard Fournette got cut by the team with the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft. But Brady's checks to those guys resulted in points, and now he's MVP. He's the GOAT. He's got 7, and that's something that's just going to be a part of this story, fairly or unfairly, for the rest of our NFL-caring lives. That part probably isn't making anybody feel better tonight, so I apologize for that. But it's a part of what we saw, and it's a part of what we're going to have to deal with now. I will say this in a more, not necessarily optimistic tone, but zooming out a little bit. Again, I'm so glad that last year ended differently. And even that one was fragile. I saw a tweet that I think was a little bit dumb, to be honest, but a tweet going around about how different would, their point was the narratives around Patrick Mahomes, which is not why I'm taking it. But how different would we all feel? How different would this stretch of 3 years feel if Jimmy Garoppolo hits a wide open receiver deep downfield in the Super Bowl last year? That may not have necessarily ended the game, but it would have given the Niners a real good chance of being Super Bowl champions last year. The only reason I'm going back to that is because of as a reminder of how fragile these all are. And I think maybe to some extent, we kind of lost perspective on that. Not in like a really big way, and I'm certainly not here to shout anybody down. But the Chiefs expected to be here again, rightfully so. They won it all last year. They didn't lose anybody, and they had an amazing regular season with then 2 excellent playoff wins. They're right to expect to be here, but bleep happens all the time in the NFL. It's why going back-to-back is so rare. It's why three-peating has never happened. It's why the Buffalo Bills that kept going to Super Bowls but never winning them are such an incredible story from NFL history. And so I'm incredibly glad that last year ended in the Super Bowl for beyond the obvious reasons. Think about how this would feel if last year ended similarly to this one. You would have an AFC Championship loss to Tom Brady. You would have a crushing Super Bowl loss where the offense was struggling early in the game and maybe it never got going, or maybe Garoppolo just hits that downfield shot. And then you have this one where the story isn't run it back. The story is, all right, this team's excellent. Can they get back and actually avenge themselves this time? And we'd be talking about 3 incredible seasons from this team with nothing to show for it in terms of hardware or a parade. And we did, mercifully, get it last year. As a city, as Chiefs Kingdom, as a fan base, whatever. So I hope that somewhere in there is room for you listening to appreciate even more last year's ultimate success. Because seriously, the trio of a 3-year stretch, winning a Super Bowl, getting to a Super Bowl but losing, getting to an AFC Championship game but losing, is tremendous. Anybody in the last 20 years, except for the Patriots, would have taken that. And even they had a decade where they didn't actually win one. So I hope that perspective is reachable. And if it's not tonight, I don't blame you. If you don't want to have perspective until Monday or Tuesday or next Monday.
Or next year.
Or whenever the preseason begins next year. Whenever training camp comes around next year. If you don't want to have perspective right away, I do not blame you. Part of being a fan oftentimes is taking the down points, the losses, the disappointments really personally and struggling with them for a while. But another part of being a fan is celebrating the victories like you were on the field for them. And we did get that last year. I'm not here to be, camp counselor all night. I want to talk about the specifics within this game. I want to hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Bruce Arians. We're going to hear from everybody. We're not going into the Border Patrol, which I was prepared to do. In fact, I have the snacks and several reinforcements of energy drinks to prove it. We are not going until 6 a.m. tonight. We will be here for a good while. And we'll take every call that shows up on the board. We'll go through a bunch of comments. We're going to bring you all the audio. We're going to talk about this game a bunch. But if I can at least connect the disappointment of this game to how much better this all felt a year ago, I'll take that opportunity to do so. I'm gonna work this out while we're live. Here's what I'm thinking, Beards. You tell me. Beards McFly on the other side of the glass. I'm Joshua Briscoe. If you want to follow me on Twitter or tweet at us, if you're listening through the app or over the air, obviously you can tweet. I'm at JB Briscoe. You can tweet at Beards McFly. You can tweet at Sports Radio 810. You also have the YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook streams up on all of those various platforms to leave comments there as well. We'll get through a bunch of those tonight. Beards, tell me what you think about this. I'm thinking we let everyone on the phone right now know that we need to keep these calls relatively tight. If we blast through them all right now, we can blast through them all, and then we're going to do a bunch of presser audio. And so if anybody calls from this point forward, you're going to be waiting on hold for quite a while.
That's fine. We're still working on getting everything together, and I'm having issues with our video to audio converter currently. So that's fine.
Well, all right.
Yeah. I'm working on it.
I have faith in you as much as would be reasonable to have. But there you go. You want to watch the show and all of the issues we're apparently having. You want to are we on the air, Beards? Is that?
Oh yeah,
we're definitely
totally
on the air.
fine.
Okay, excellent.
It's just there are some of the press conferences that we weren't able to grab live because
I see.
There were like 10 podiums going on at the same time.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant our
No.
audio to video
That's
converter.
Fine. It's just converting. Like I had to download the Travis Kelce video, and now we're trying to convert that to audio.
Totally
and
understand.
Having issues.
Excellent.
So
That's fine.
That
Okay.
we're having issues with.
I misunderstood you. I was afraid that we were having issues on our end. It's more issues of getting all the audio on. Cool. All right, so I'll let you know, everybody on hold right now. I got 4 callers. We'll blast through these 4 calls. I'll ask you guys to keep it relatively tight so we can get to everybody and then start getting to presser audio. But if I don't take your guys' calls now, the alternative is that you sit there for like an hour and a half, and I don't want to do that to anybody tonight. So we will start from the top with Todd. Todd, you're on Sports Radio 810.
Hey, Josh, I just want to commend you on your monologue. It pretty much covered my feelings, to be honest with you. I really totally agree. And honestly, it covered some of my questions. I mean, I'm totally disappointed in what happened today. I really never even saw a scenario where the Chiefs were going to get blown out. That was probably the most unlikely situation I thought was even possible.
Yeah.
It was just completely like shocking. And the new narrative about Tom Brady, it just makes me cringe, man. It just makes me sick. Like, I mean, like as soon as he leaves the Patriots, of course he goes to the other conference, and we have to lose to the guy in the big game to go back to back. It just shows how incredibly hard it is to do, and I don't even know if we'll ever see a repeat ever again.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know what really the biggest thing was, really the biggest harbinger, like the drops on offense early on or the defensive penalty and just meltdown, like especially from Tyrann Mathieu. I know it kind of goes hand in hand, but like it was just so bad, like on the defensive end. It felt like there was a point where the offense clearly just lost the morale, you know?
Yeah.
And Mahomes had just not lost more than one score in the playoffs, right? You said
he had never lost an NFL game by more than one score. His last multi-score loss, his last multi-score loss, I believe, was against Iowa State in 2016. It's
my gosh,
unbelievable.
Did that not look like the LSU game? I know this is kind of a deep cut. This looks
you're right.
to me like the LSU. This is where I actually was like thinking, this is the guy that the Chiefs should really take a look on.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I saw that LSU game, and he was the only guy that looked like a legit player in that game for Texas Tech, and he was just like getting destroyed. And it really looked like that for the Chiefs. Like he just had nobody blocking for him, and I really discounted that because of how many times I've seen the offensive line get abused under Reed with Mahomes in the last couple of years with Mahomes. I really think they need to take a serious look in the free agency for offensive linemen, or at least really focus on it in the draft, because this is getting bad. And I know it seems like he never really focuses on that. I mean, where do we go from here? I mean, do you think it was – I mean, I think you kind of covered it. Like, we can't really harp on, like, what was it, the drops or the defensive breakdown and penalties, and especially, like from the secondary. Yeah. But, I mean, we can attribute it to the injuries on the offensive line, but, I mean is it that, or is it the linebackers? I guess that's my final question. You covered a lot of like my questions before, so.
Well, thank you for the call, Todd. I appreciate it. I love anybody who calls in and says you're doing a great job, and I agree with you on a bunch of things. So appreciate the call there, Todd. I will certainly talk about the offensive line. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on to a big offensive line sort of take that I got. We're gonna circle back to that, I promise. The other thing, Todd mentions the LSU Mahomes game. It is a little bit of a deep cut, but if you just Google Patrick Mahomes LSU Seth Kaiser, or Patrick Mahomes LSU The Athletic. Our friend Seth Kaiser wrote about Mahomes against LSU around this time last year, a little bit after the Super Bowl in 2020. And he has a whole breakdown of that game, sort of treating it like a usual, typical Mahomes breakdown. And the short story of it is Patrick Mahomes was playing for Texas Tech against basically an NFL No, I was going to say practice squad. They were more talented than that at the peak. They're going up against a minor league NFL team with that LSU Tigers team that just had NFL talent all across the board. In fact, I think Seth may have even had a specific number of how many of those guys ended up becoming pros. 13 future NFL players when Mahomes played them in 2015 in the bowl game against LSU. 13 of them. 3 all-pro level guys, 4 more draft picks, 6 UDFAs who are still in the league. And Mahomes looked like an MVP caliber quarterback on a totally overmatched team. I think that's a pretty good take. It kind of felt that way tonight. I will circle back on the offensive line. Also, the question of where did that all unravel? It's multifaceted. You can't lose 31-9 with Patrick Mahomes and not have it be multifaceted. Yes, it's the drops and the mistakes by the Stars, and it's the penalties on defense, and it's the issues they had in the first half. It's all of it. It's just all of it. There's not a simple, small, zoomed-in answer. It's just everything. Next up, let's go to Sean. Sean, you're on the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, all things considered. What's on your mind?
I can't believe they only scored 9 points.
I know.
It blows,
I know.
Blows my mind away. This is the best offensive team in the NFL. 9 points. I don't know what else to say. 9 points. I just keep going back to that. 9 points. And that secondary is trash for the Bucks, and we scored 9 points. I have not been more disappointed ever.
Yeah.
And, well, I'm a Chiefs fan,
mm-hmm.
so I've put up with garbage my whole life to be a Chiefs fan. 9 points is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So.
I appreciate mentioning it, Sean, and thank you for the call and thanks for listening, because I tweeted at the time that if I would have seen that prop bet on online somewhere or whatever, I would have lost my life savings for the Chiefs to score 10 points. Yeah, sure, I don't care that it's a 1-to-5 ratio. Yeah, no, there's no chance on planet Earth they don't score double-digit points, and they didn't. The one thing about the Bucs, and I'll mention again what Tyreek Hill said, that does not reflect well on the game plan, but he said they wanted man coverage. It's what they used to absolutely cook this team back in Week 12, and then in this game they played a lot more zone, and they got throttled that way. So it's a secondary that I think we probably collectively thought less of than they deserved that we thought less of than they actually deserved because of how bad the Chiefs made them look back in Week 12. But Todd Bowles had an excellent adjustment, and the Chiefs did not adjust to the adjustment at all. Let's go to Ryan. Ryan, you're on Sports Radio 810.
Hey, Josh. I get what you're saying. And I listened to what you had said before you started taking calls. And I'm just going to make a couple of points.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, this Super Bowl is going to forever be marred by the officiating. I don't care what anybody says. Chiefs were only down 14-6 with a minute left in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 offensive pass interference calls were abysmal. They were abysmal. And you know as well as I do, you go into halftime and you're getting the ball to start the second half.
Yep.
It's a lot different when you're down 8 points than you are 15.
Yep.
And you could see the life just get sucked out of the Chiefs after that. And a couple other points. The Buccaneers ran the ball 33 times for 145 yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was our leading rusher with 9 carries.
Mm-hmm.
17 carries for 107 yards. That's not going to cut it. Patrick Mahomes is the second leading rusher on our team. 5 carries. That's it. Le'Veon Bell didn't even play. What did you sign him for? He's a hell of a receiver coming out of the backfield. They could have used running back by committee and done the same thing as Tampa Bay did. And one other point that I'm going to make is this. Other than Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, Josh, who on the offense is going to step up for the Chiefs? Because they don't have anybody. They don't have that solid number 2 receiver. Kelsey's the solid number 2 receiver, but you don't have anybody else on the other side to complement Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pathetic. And then 11 penalties for 120 yards. Tampa Bay had 4 for 39. That is so egregious, it's not even funny. You could point to so many things, and yes, Tampa Bay had a great game plan, but there were so many other little nuances to this game that's to only score 9 points, and I said it to a bunch of my friends, somebody else on the Chiefs, the secondary players are going to have to step up, and it just never happened.
Yeah. I agree with that point more than anything else you said there, and I agree with pretty much everything on some level, but that one I think is the most key. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you for listening. That's the thing. I mean, Sammy Watkins came back for this game. I mentioned it earlier. He just didn't do anything. I mean, just was, invisible. I don't, it's impossible for me to evaluate the performance of those guys without getting, like, all 22 and being able to watch it not just live. But, yeah, I mean, the Sammy Watkins, McCole Hardman, sort of Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle, whatever you want to do, disappearances in this game are hard to overlook. I mean, it's egregious. This in the AFC Championship game as well. This is a 2-player effort in terms of the pass catchers. It was all Tyreek Hill. It was all Travis Kelce. I expect that we'll see them continue to add there in the draft and in free agency, perhaps. Healthy Sammy Watkins has had enormous games that I think you do need to feel good about whenever he's out there. It didn't happen tonight. I have a very hard time being able to answer why yet. That might be more back to the zone versus man thing, where Sammy Watkins is a much better man beater than he is a zone beater. But I don't know. I mean, I just don't have a good answer for you there. Le'Veon Bell, they signed him for depth, and if something happened like what did happen to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think that the Le'Veon Bell signing was sort of LaShawn McCoy 2.0, which was disappointing because our expectations were higher than that whenever he signed here. I wonder, listen, also the Chiefs' offense is at its best whenever it's passing 80% of the time. I wonder if they didn't quite trust the offensive line in run blocking either. I was a little bit surprised to see them not run it a little more often, and I never want the Chiefs to run it more often. But the officiating also, here's the thing. So the one in the end zone was atrocious. The pass interference call in the end zone that went through the back of the end zone was an absolute nightmare of a call. I am 100% with you on this one. The Bashaud Breeland versus Mike Evans call, in slow-mo, I went, that shouldn't have gotten called. In real time, it's gonna get called a lot, which also might go back to not calling that timeout on third down with whatever it was, 40-some seconds that were remaining. That ended up biting them, obviously. The refereeing in the first half, by the way, though, was not good. It was an ugly scene, and it ended up going against the in a major way. I don't think it was targeted or whatever at them, but it ended up going against the Chiefs in a major way. And then it was not officiated the same way in the second half, which is really, 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 really frustrating. So I think there is absolutely some fair merit to that. It's also multifaceted. Again, it's just all of this is a part of it all at once. As frustrating as that is, if the officiating was perfect, the Chiefs would have lost this game. If the officiating was perfect and, they would have run the ball this more effectively, more often or whatever, they would have lost the game. You have 4 or 5 things that I think needed to go differently because you needed 4 or 5 things to go that level of terribly for the Chiefs to lose in a blowout that way. One more call before we'll get to audio. Let's go to Hunter. Hunter, you're on Sports Radio 810.
Hey, Josh. Appreciate the call in. You were kind of just right then dipping into the question I have for you tonight. Well, my first point is after the game tonight, the first thing I wanted to do was tune in to 810 and appreciate you guys letting me on. It's a great show.
Thank you.
I live out here in San Diego, but yeah, you were kind of dipping into it. You know, these last couple of weeks, you go into the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship and the playoffs, and you know, you hear that the referees are going to let these guys play and let them do their thing out on wide receiver or wherever that is. They're going to kind of let them go and let them show their talents. And I think that first quarter, I mean, there was 6 to 8 penalties that were just took out the air of the whole offense. And I don't know. I just want to hear your point on that. I know you were kind of dipping into that a little bit. But, yeah, man, appreciate the show and love to hear more points on that. I thought that was super frustrating, man. Anyways, Go Chiefs. Love the show.
Thanks, Hunter. Really appreciate that and appreciate everyone listening. This has been a really fun year of post-game shows. I feel it sucks that it's going to end on this note. Beyond kind of the the refs bleeped us kind of thing, which I just, even whenever it's partially true and even whenever it's true on certain plays, I just don't enjoy that conversation very much because it's so futile. But the idea also of those penalties, not only did they hurt the Chiefs in a very sort of obvious on the field way, it did feel, it was deflating, man. I mean, listen, Tom Brady's Super Bowl is something deflating. I'm lashing out because I am hurt. But no, you're right. It especially for me, the Chris Jones one, the personal foul that ended up giving the Bucs a free first down, stunk. That was just a hard thing to watch. It's on him. He can't get called for that. He cannot. He got away with it in the AFC Championship game against the Bills. It's not like teams aren't going to try to get him to react and then get a penalty. Is it ticky-tack? Yeah, sure. So was the Bashaud Breeland one. But is it going to get called most of the time? Yeah, and those dudes know that. I don't love it. There are plenty of rules that I would change. There's plenty of inclinations of referees that I would want to change given the opportunity. But whenever it happens, regardless of what it is that got you there, if it was a good call or not, again, I'm not really playing both sides. I thought the refereeing in the first half of this game was not good. But regardless of if it's a good call or not, penalties like that absolutely suck the air out of what you're trying to do on either side of the ball because it feels like you did your job. You forced a third down. You made a play. You're going to get out of the first half without giving up more points. You're moving the chains, whatever. You got an interception. And again, ticky-tack, holding on Charvarius Ward, yeah, absolutely. But you had a pick. You were turning the game around, and then air sucked out of the stadium. Bucs keep moving. It's horrible. I mean, it's just an awful way of having to deal with a game crawling along. Really disappointing. Let me say one thing about the offensive line, and then we'll start getting to a bunch of press conferences on the other side of the break. Todd mentioned earlier, the Chiefs need to invest more in the offensive line. And I think they will next year, so I don't actually disagree with what you said there. What I want to clarify is something some people on Twitter have said, which is the Chiefs didn't invest in the offensive line enough, and that's simply not true. It's just not factual. If you're listening, you're thinking that, I'll help you out. If someone else mentions that, feel free to quote me on this. The Chiefs this season lost Eric Fisher, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, Kelechi Osemele, Mitchell Schwartz, and Lucas Niang. That is a starting offensive line, depending on how you want to configure it. The offensive line was not underinvested in. It just got absolutely torched by injuries in 3 cases, 3 season-ending injuries that came at different times, and 2 opt-outs, which, as I said on Twitter, I will clarify here, happily, I am not critiquing in any way whatsoever the opt-outs any more than I'm critiquing the guys for getting hurt. Those are just things that happened. LDT's opt-out was the most, noble thing that's happened anywhere near professional sports, maybe ever. And I don't know Lucas Niang's reasons, but I'm hoping that he'll be back next year looking healthy and spry, because I think the Chiefs are going to need him. But they lost all 5 of those guys in one form or another. And somebody said, well, the Kelechi Osemele thing wasn't a marquee signing. That doesn't count. He was playing excellent football. Excellent until he got hurt. He tore tendons in both of his knees. I'm not a Brett Veach stan. I for a month, was upset about the first-round pick that they used on a running back, which, no offense to Clyde, I think he's a fun player, and I like watching him play. I don't like using a first-round pick on a running back, whatever. I'm not tilling through that ground again today. We'll go through that more this offseason, I'm sure. I'm not a Brett Veach stan. He also did not underinvest in this offensive line. They got it right. This line was going to work out just fine. Was Andrew Wiley perfect this year? No, absolutely not. Austin Ryder actually had better stats than most people are ever going to give him credit for. I think he had not allowed a sack on the season, if I have my information right. I don't have it in front of me. He also had 3 straight seasons with the PFF grade over 77.5. And if you say, well, they got to have more depth. How many starting caliber offensive linemen do you need to have on a roster, would you say? Starting caliber. So we're talking about a limited number there, because there are guys who are going to start around the league who probably shouldn't be. Fisher, Schwartz, LDT, Osemele, Ryder, undeniable. Wiley, almost certainly. Stefan Wisniewski, almost certainly. Mike Rimmers, absolutely. Maybe Nick Allegretti had a pretty nice season, thrust into action sooner than the Chiefs were probably planning on having him there. Maybe Dan Kilgore, maybe Lucas Niang, if he would have been active. We're talking about this roster at varying points having somewhere between 8 and 11 offensive linemen that you're at the very least comfortable having on your starting offensive line. The combination they had out there tonight wasn't going to do it, though. Mike Rimmers at left tackle, Andrew Wiley at right tackle, not the case. Not all those dudes could play anywhere. Wiley did not have a good game at right tackle. Didn't appear that Mike Rimmers had a very good game at left. But man, they had a lot invested in the offensive line this year, and even the guys that weren't expensive or weren't high draft picks, they performed well. They just had really terrible injury luck in a way that was absolutely devastating that all came to a peak at the absolute worst time. I don't think that one's that complicated. It's really frustrating, it's really unfortunate, but I don't think it's that complicated. I got to tell you, a whole bunch of people that are helping to provide you this show tonight. I got to say thanks in a huge way to CBD American Shaman. When the Chiefs score, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman. I got to tell you, the discount tonight's not the best it's ever been, but still enormous thanks and great products over at CBD American Shaman. The Chiefs score is your % off. They scored 9 points, so you can still get 9% off all day tomorrow. American Shaman, life is better with the feather. Also, tonight's show is brought to you by Creative Planning, a nationally recognized Kansas City wealth manager. In fact, they are providing you our visual coverage on Facebook Live, Twitch, and YouTube. Facebook.com/sportsradio810, Twitch.tv/sportsradio810, and YouTube.com/810WHB. Brought to you by Creative Planning. Also, the show is brought to you by Operating Engineers Local 101 Apprentice Program. Learn how to operate all types of heavy equipment. Call 816-640-2336. I'm Joshua Briscoe. If you want to get in touch with the show, go to any of the feeds. You can leave your comments there. You can also interact on Twitter at JB Briscoe, at Sports Radio 810. Whenever we come back, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid next here on Sports Radio 810.
Chiefs Postgame, brought to you by Casey's own CBD American Shaman. Come on into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress-sacking CBD. Everything is better with the feather.
Hey guys, looking for a new rewarding career? Check out the Operating Engineers Local 101 Apprentice Program. In addition to paid on-the-job training with union construction companies, you'll learn to operate all types of heavy equipment, including cranes, bulldozers, backhoes, graders, scrapers, trenchers, loaders, compactors, pavers, asphalt and concrete plants, drilling and boring machines, and other specialized construction machinery. You'll receive great benefits and a pension plan as well. Call today, 816-640-2336. That's 816-640-2336.
Your money management is now manageable. With an account from Central Bank, you'll have all the tools and technology you need to move, manage, and maximize your money the way you want, when you want. And you have the perk of local branches right in your community when you need some one-on-one time. Because we do banking better. Open your account online or in person at any of our convenient locations. Central Bank. Strong roots. Endless possibilities. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Justin Cole, Private Wealth Manager at Creative Planning. Over the last few years, we have grown to one of the largest nationally recognized wealth management firms in the country. While we are proud of our success, we are most proud of our Kansas City roots. We were founded in Kansas City and remain headquartered here because there's no place we'd rather be. We are Kansas City strong. Thank you, Kansas City, and thank you to our clients. If you're not a client, we invite you to reach out for a free, no-obligation financial review. You can find us at creativeplanning.com or by calling 913-338-2727.
LMC Truck, located right here in Kansas City, offers quality parts and accessories for Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Dodge trucks, SUVs, and vans. At lmctruck.com, their website features the same detailed interactive artwork as the catalog. Restoring old memories or just getting started on new ones, LMC Truck is here to help. They are more than just parts. Trucks are a lifestyle. They understand that. LMC Trucks helps you live it. Just go to lmctruck.com. LMC Truck, keeping generations on the road.
Playoff season is here, and you'll score big at Robert Brogdon Buick GMC. Save thousands below MSRP and get 0% for up to 72 months on most new Buick and GMCs. There's a huge selection, including the 2021 GMC Sierra. Plus, they have over 200 used cars, trucks, and SUVs. Rush to Kansas City's highest volume Buick GMC dealer on I-35 in Santa Fe and Olathe, or at robertbrogdon.com. On select models must qualify and finance through GMF for special financing. See dealer for details.
Wholesale Batteries is proud to support our hometown team as they get ready to win the big game. Watching the game at home or working from home? Let Wholesale Batteries protect your man cave or workstation from power surges and outages. Wholesale Batteries is stocking your uninterruptible power supplies to provide coverage during power surges, spikes, or outages. While the big game is on, you can trust Wholesale Batteries to protect you from any outages. Kansas City's largest battery supplier, Wholesale Batteries. The right battery the first time. Let's go Kansas City, bring back another title. Hey KC fans, this Sunday Joe's KC is open for the big game. They will open from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Stop in and stock up for your watch parties. Get all your favorites. Also, you can send Joe's KC Barbecue. Joe's ships anywhere in the U.S. and makes it easy to reheat for game day. You can ship all of Joe's favorites like ribs, brisket, burn ends, and even the famous Z-Man. Ordering is easy, and it's just a few clicks away at joeskc.com. So stop in this Sunday at Joe's KC, open 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Briscoe. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's time for the Chiefs Drive of the Game.
Brought to you by One Request, a Kansas City company making car shopping easy. Stop searching site to site and avoid the numerous calls and emails from sellers. Search less, find yours at onerequest.com.
One back, that's Jones. Handoff Jones over the right guard. Digs and turns and claws. Did he get in? They're not signaling. He's short. On 4th and goal, the Kansas City defense, with a big hit by Ben Neiman, have a goal line stand. A big defensive play by the Kansas City defense.
That's actually our key drive of the game, because that's what we had. The Kansas City Chiefs fall just short of the run-it-back campaign. Fall just short because it was in the last game. They got obliterated by the Buccaneers tonight in a way that was not fun in any possible way. I just realized that our touchdown of the game later is going to have to be a Tampa one, because the Chiefs did not score a touchdown, which is something that I've never said while Patrick Mahomes is quarterback of this football team.
These are the dark days.
I mean, just incredibly dark. Wow. That one just kind of hit me. That sucks. You're listening to the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show. It's presented by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day. Also brought to you by, I've got too many sheets in front of me. Brought to you by Operating Engineers 101. You can check out Operating Engineers Local 101 Apprentice Program. Learn how to operate all types of heavy equipment. Call 816-640-2336. Let's go ahead and hear from Andy Reid here, Beards. Speaking of things that are terrible, we haven't mentioned it all tonight. If you want more on kind of how I was feeling about this story, we podcasted it over on Almost Entirely Sports, started the show there on Friday night. His first thoughts here are about the accident involving his son, Britt Reed, also linebackers coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. He did not travel with the team to Tampa, and it involved we don't know that, critically injuring a 5-year-old girl who, as of right now, we haven't received any more updates on. It's obviously not a good situation, and just on a variety of levels. Britt Reed's had a history of substance abuse issues, and some of the early reports and what we heard from KCPD sounds like there was alcohol involved. The whole story is tragic in like every possible sense of the word. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on it, you can check it out. We podcasted it. Just this segment that was specifically about that. The whole thing is heart-wrenching. There's a GoFundMe that a relative of the family had set up that a bunch of different news stations have verified to be the legit GoFundMe, and it has raised a bunch of money in the last couple of days. You can also search that out if you'd like. The pictures there are also devastating, and it's horrible. Every single part of the story is just absolutely devastating. If you want to go check out more on that, there have been a series of stories written on it, more details. 41 Action News had it first. We talked about it on AES, and you can check out the GoFundMe if you just Google, if you search for that. I've tweeted about it several times. It's all over Twitter and everything as well. So I don't think I have anything else that we can necessarily say about it tonight that's going to be insightful or helpful at this point, other than that we cannot hope and or pray enough that the 5-year-old that was critically injured ends up being okay. Most recently, there's been no update of any sort, which at this point isn't necessarily positive, but anyway, put a real cloud over everything yesterday and over this weekend, and that's where Andy Reid started his press conference today. It came up a couple times, and obviously the team just also had lost the Super Bowl, so a difficult start and a really horrible story, and a challenging segue. Here's Andy Reid talking to the media after falling to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, starting off with a statement about that accident involving his son and linebackers coach Britt Reed critically injuring a 5-year-old girl.
Okay, so listen, my hat goes off to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the job that they did. I know I haven't had a chance to address you since the accident happened that my son was involved in. My heart goes out to all those that were involved in the accident, in particular, the family with the little girl who's fighting for her life. And listen, it's a tough situation. I can't comment on it any more than what I am here. So the questions that you have, I'm gonna have to turn those down at the time. But just from a human standpoint, man, my heart bleeds for everybody involved in that. So as far as this game goes, they played better than we did, and that's my responsibility. I take full responsibility for it. You just can't do the things that we did and beat a good football team like that, in particular at this level. So with that, time's yours.
All right, first we'll go to Herbie Teope, Kansas City Star.
Hey, Coach. Good evening.
All right, Herbie.
8 penalties for 98 yards, I believe it, or 95 yards in the first half. I mean, such uncharacteristic play from you guys. What did you say to your team with those penalties, and how much did that turn the tide of the game, in your opinion?
Well, you can't have that. I mean, you can't have penalties, not that many. I think we had 10 of them total. And that you're taking space away from yourself, either defensively or offensively. And so, that it is uncharacteristic, and it's too bad it happened today, for sure.
Next, we'll go to Adam Teicher, ESPN.
Hi, Andy. You guys had pieced it together pretty well with that offensive line up until tonight. Was it just a case tonight where Tampa's front was pretty tough and you guys just couldn't handle them? Is that all this was tonight?
I don't want to tell you they're not tough, but I tell you I could have done a better job of putting our guys in a better position. They fought their tail off. The guys never gave up. I mean, these are champions, and just the fact that they were able to get themselves back to this fight, fighting like crazy to get here. It was a bad day to have a bad day, but I'm not going to lay it on the offensive line. When we lose, we all lose together on this.
All right, next we'll go to Sam Mellinger, Kansas City Star.
Hey, Andy. Maybe this is along the lines of what people have been asking you, and I realize the game just ended, but we haven't seen you guys struggle like that offensively, not get a touchdown since Patrick's been your quarterback. Just how much of this was execution for your part, and how much of this was something maybe the Bucs were doing that, just wrecked what you were trying to do?
Yeah, listen, Todd had a good plan, but like I said, I could have done a whole lot better putting these guys in a better position to make plays. I mean, my guys busted their tail, and we didn't, it just didn't work for us. So, but give credit to Todd for the job that he did. He got us.
All right, next we'll go to Aaron Ladd, KSHB.
Coach, appreciate the time. I know the motto all year was run it back and going back to the title game, but I wonder, leaving this game, if there's a better appreciation for just how hard it is to repeat as champion.
Well, yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's a tough thing to get back to this game. It's tough. But that's what this is all about. And it just shows you the heart of these guys and what they've done to put ourselves in a position to at least have an opportunity to do this. We've got to play better. We've got to use it as motivation to help get ourselves back again.
Next, we'll go to Diana Rossini, ESPN.
Andy, I know you addressed the situation with your son, but over the last few days since it's happened, did it have any effect on you as the head coach of the Chiefs preparing for the Super Bowl?
Well, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you my heart bleeds for the people involved in it. I mentioned that, Diana. And so, but again, we had put the game plan in the week before. And so the distraction wasn't a distraction as far as the game plan goes. That was already in, and kind of how we were going to work with it and go forward. So I would tell you, I mean, anything, it's a loaded question, Diana. I from a human standpoint, yeah, it's a tough one. From a football standpoint, two separate things. From a football standpoint, that wasn't, I don't think that was the problem.
Next, we'll go to Sam McDowell, Kansas City Star.
Hey, Andy. I know you probably only got a really brief time to do this, but I'm wondering what your message was to your guys after the game and what it will be in these next few days.
Yeah, well, I had an opportunity to be with them. So they were all in there for the most part. And, just that you battled your tail off all year, stand tall. That's important, and keep your eyes looking up and forward. And so we didn't play our best game today, but we're going to get back on it and get ourselves ready for next year.
All right, next we'll go to Matt Derrick.
Hey, Coach, I know you already have a healthy respect for Patrick's toughness. But tonight in a game like this where things weren't really going his way and he was taking a lot of hits, does this say anything more? Do you think this proves anything about him and just his mental and physical toughness in a game like this?
No, to the last snap, he was trying to win the football game. And so that should never be questioned. No, you're right.
All right, next we'll go to Jory Epstein, USA Today.
Hi, Andy. Leonard Fournette was a threat in both the run and the passing game today. What was so difficult about stopping him for your defense?
Yeah, you know what? He did a nice job. He They used him in the run game, and he ran hard, and they used him in the play pass game as a check down. So, and he did a nice job with that. So we need to do a better job of making sure we're in position to cover him. I mean, but listen, the kid, give the kid credit. He did a nice job.
All right, next we go to Jason Alex Fleming, Florida Sun.
How you doing, Mr. Reed?
Hey, Jason. Good.
Coach,
hard question to answer it.
Fair enough, Coach. My apologies, Mr. Reed. The linebackers of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were swarming today. Do you think the biggest issue was the lack of running game early, or the fact that Mahomes couldn't get the deep plays going due to the fact that the secondary and the linebackers were just so fluid?
Yeah, I could have done a better job of helping him out with the run game, and I could have given him more opportunities where we could have run the football.
Next, we'll go to Santiago Tomasi, NFL Chile.
Thanks, Mr. Reed, for your time. I would like to ask you about your defense. You have some problems in the first half with some falls, and in the second half, especially in the running game, they weren't fast enough. They couldn't stop the gaps. What do you think it can improve for the next year?
Yeah, Santiago, I thought we did a nice job at the beginning of the game. We didn't take advantage of that as well as we could have offensively, and then there were too many snaps out on that field. We've got to do a better job of sustaining drives on offense, and that, again, when I say it's my responsibility to help our guys with that, that's my responsibility.
Next, we'll go to Jarrett Bell.
Hey, Coach, I've got to ask you the proverbial "did you see it coming" question. When you think about your preparations for the week and the situation with your son, the COVID situation, can any of that explain what happened?
No, I didn't see it coming at all. I thought we were going to come in and we were going to play these guys right, just like we've been playing teams, and it didn't happen that way. I mean, they did a nice job. I give them credit on it, but I didn't anticipate this happening. No, I can't tell you that.
All right, next we'll go to Brian Costello.
Andy, you said Todd got you tonight. What specifically about Todd's game plan and scheme tonight worked so well against your offense?
Well, we played zone on first, second down and mixed it up a little bit on third down, and we weren't able to handle that too well.
There's Andy Reid here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City, and it's brought to you by Operating Engineers 101. Hey guys, looking for a new rewarding career? Check out the Operating Engineers Local 101 Apprentice Program. In addition to paid on-the-job training with union construction companies, all apprentices receive 144 hours of classroom training each year of their apprenticeship. Call today, 816-640-2336. Operating Engineers Local 101 Apprentice Program. A few things there from Andy Reid that I think are interesting. Also, another stat that I just saw come up while the presser was playing there from Daniel Jeremiah citing NFL Next Gen Stats. The Chiefs used 5-man protection on 92% of dropbacks, 48 of 52. 5-man protection is tackle, guard, center, guard, tackle. Next Gen Stats also tweeted, the Chiefs' 5-man protection usage rate tonight, again, 92.3%, is the third highest rate by any team in a game in the Next Gen Stats era, which is since 2016. They left those dudes there one-on-one. They said, we'll roll with 5, and it didn't pay off. That does not count chips. So a running back or a tight end running a route after chipping a guy would not count as more than a 5-man protection. But to put into context how few times they attempted to have another guy out there helping out on any level, third least since 2016 in any game, that's a tough pill to swallow, honestly. I mean, that's just, that's a lot. That is sizable. One other thing, back to the tragic story of this week. A lot of people have thrown out the idea of like, hey, was Reed distracted and some of that affect the game plan? Two things, just sort of a point of order. The Chiefs were installing the game plan for this game last week, not even this week leading up to the game, but the week prior. Reed said that multiple times because they were working on, so much media stuff and then walkthroughs and all that stuff this week. So the game plan was installed the first week of the 2-week lead up to the Super Bowl, well before any of this had happened. The accident itself happened on Thursday night. I also think, I was distracted yesterday because of this story. Yesterday is when the GoFundMe was found, and it threw off the whole, it just sort of, that story kind of bleeps up your whole day, as I think I tweeted very eloquently at one point. It's devastating. It'll just, if you pay attention and care, it'll just shake you to your core. The other element of that, though, is that I don't know, was Andy Reid thinking about it whenever deciding not to add help to the offensive line? I don't think so. I think that's looking a little bit too hard. I'm guessing that the plane ride to Tampa without his son on it, and the reason for his son not being there, and then also knowing that he had lost another son to a drug overdose many years ago. I'm guessing that he's had a couple of dark days. I don't doubt that at all. But the idea that it was like making his play calling worse, I feel like doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't feel again, my day yesterday was sort of derailed by the details of this story because it's just heart-wrenching. But I don't think it impacted the first segment of the show today. You know what I mean? So I think that there's a give and take there. Just again, kind of a point of order. I don't really want to debate that with anybody, to be honest. So if you feel differently, that's fine. But those are my 2 cents. Beards, let's move over to Patrick Mahomes here. Before we get to Patrick Mahomes' press conference, we need to let you know that it's brought to you by Ryan Lawn.
This is Larry Ryan, and what we do with lawns in the coming weeks will have a lot to do with how great they'll look next spring. Get your 2021 lawn off to a great start today at ryanlawn.com.
Patrick Mahomes suffered a terrible loss here in this game. His final stats don't look good. He's now 1-1 in Super Bowls, and he's got 2 pretty tough losses to Tom Brady in the playoffs, but he also made some incredible throws tonight that just didn't get caught. The only other thing Mahomes could have done in a couple of those miracles was to have him stick in his pass catcher's face masks, and they didn't, so the ball hit the ground. Let's hear from Patrick Mahomes after the game.
Hey, Patrick, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You ready to get started?
Yep.
All right, we're going to go first to Danny Heifetz. Go ahead, Danny.
Hey, Patrick, your confidence has been one of your defining qualities. You guys have had so many comeback wins and so many victories. Was there a moment, what was the moment you realized you weren't going to win this game?
Probably when I threw the interception at the very end of the game. You knew it was pretty much over then because we had no timeouts. But we battled to the very end. That's one thing you can say. We played not very good football today, but we battled. And now you have to respect the guys for their toughness on doing that.
You had that one play where you looked like you were Spider-Man. You were flying sideways through the air. You put the ball on the receiver's hands. How confident? It was one of the best incompletions I think anyone's ever seen. Is part of you heartbreaking? Do you feel like you left it all on the field tonight?
Yeah, I did. Obviously I didn't play the way I wanted to play. But what else can you say? All you can do is leave everything you have on the field, and I feel like the guys did that. They were the better team today. They beat us pretty good. The worst I think I've been beaten in a long time. But I'm proud of the guys now. They fought to the very end of the game.
All right, next we'll go to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Patrick, a couple things. First of all, how similar was what Tampa did tonight to what they did say in the second half after that big first quarter in the first time around? Were you see any similarities in their coverage from that game, from the second quarter on to tonight? And I'll have one quick follow-up.
Not really any. They had a good game plan. They kind of took away our deep stuff. They took away the sidelines, and they did a good job of rallying to the football and making tackles. We weren't executing early. I had a few miscues. We weren't on the same page. But I mean, credit to them, man. They played a heck of a game defensively and offensively and beat us.
Okay, and was the toe a problem for you tonight? And are you going to be having surgery anytime soon on that?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say the toe was a problem when I played last week or 2 weeks ago, and I played well on it. I mean, it's something you battle through. You're playing football, you have to battle through injuries. And so we'll look at it tomorrow, and we'll make a final decision on if we're going to have surgery on it or not.
All right, next we'll go to Vahe Gregorian. Go ahead, Vahe.
Hey, Patrick. As close as you are to Andy, I just wonder how cognizant of all the other things going on the last couple of days you were, and what feelings you might have had about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tragic situation all around. I mean, you're praying for everyone that was involved, but we went into the game, and I felt like he was still Coach Reed, still the same guy, but obviously we wanted to win the game, but we didn't. So now it's about continuing to move forward and try to do whatever we can to keep moving forward.
All right, let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Patrick, there was so much discussion about the offensive line today and how it was going to go against the Buccaneers pass rush. Just what did you see was the big issue in that regard, and just how did you try to counteract what they were doing in terms of the pass rush around the second quarter or so?
Yeah, I just think we weren't on the same page as an offense in general. I wasn't getting the ball out on time. The receivers were running routes not to exactly where I thought they were going to be at. And the offensive line, they did good. They were good at sometimes, and sometimes they let guys through. And when you're playing a good defense like that, you got to be on the same page as the offense, and we weren't today. And that's why we played so bad.
And one more question, Patrick. Just this is the first time in your career where the team didn't enter the end zone on offense. Just when you look back on this, just how shocking is it to know that you guys played as poorly as you did, particularly in the red zone?
Yeah, I mean, we just didn't execute, especially on third down and in the red zone. Those are the two most important parts of the field. They were just better than us today. I mean, I don't know what else to say. They executed at a higher level defensively. They had a good game plan, and we weren't able to make adjustments and find ways to get in the end zone.
All right, let's go next to Diana Rossini. Go ahead, Diana.
Patrick, I know you addressed it already, but just the awful situation that happened, just from your perspective of the team, how much of the situation that happened involving the young child in the car accident affect the team in terms of you guys heading into the weekend? Did it take the air out of it or change the vibe?
I mean, it's hard to kind of put it into words. I mean, it didn't take the air out of it. I mean, guys were still ready to go, but I mean, it's a very tragic situation, and you want to keep that in the back of your mind, and you give prayers to the families that were involved, and especially the child that was involved. So I mean, I don't want to say it affected us on the field. I mean, they beat us. There's no excuses on that. But you're praying for those families.
All right, let's go to Therese Paylor. Go ahead, Therese.
Hey, Patrick. The common theme throughout your life has been, your dad, your godfather, the lessons they've taught you, right? Including how to deal with rough losses. I'm wondering, what they've shared with you in the past about how to proceed forward after a disappointment like this, and what is the primary lesson you take from tonight moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, my dad lost in the World Series in his career, and he continued to battle and continued to be who he was. And obviously, it hurts right now. I mean, it hurts a lot, but we're going to continue to get better. We have a young group of guys that have had a lot of success and learned from that, but we've had a few failures, and we have to learn from that, and we can't let this define us. We have to continue to get better, going into next year, being even better and preparing ourselves to hopefully be in this game again.
All right, we have time for a couple more. Let's go to Herbie Tiopi. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Patrick, the amount of penalties in this game, how much did that affect what you guys wanted to do from a rhythm point of view? And are you surprised at how many times the Chiefs were penalized this game?
I mean, it definitely affects it. When you have penalties in football games, especially when you're struggling and you're playing a really good defense, it's hard to continue to get drives going and get in the end zone. And then, I mean, as far as defensively, when we have penalties that extend drives, I mean, that's how teams find ways to score points. And so you don't want to say it affects you, but I mean, you go out there and you play your heart out. You just want to go out there and try to find a way to win and try to stay away from those penalties.
All right, let's go to Matt McMullen with the last question. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Patrick, I know your locker room's hurting right now, and you touched on this briefly already, but I'm just curious your message to the guys about moving forward after this.
Yeah, I mean, we have a young group of guys. When we kind of joined together, we knew it wasn't going to always be successful, and you weren't going to be able to win 1,000 championships in a row. We knew we were going to go through times like this and adversity, and I think the best thing about it is the guys that we have the leadership ability to be even better next year. And so, obviously, we didn't end the season the way we wanted to. We can learn from that. We can learn from the successes that we had during the season. And at the end of the day, we have to come into this next year with a blank slate and trying to find a way to get to the Super Bowl again.
All right, that's it. Thanks for joining us, Patrick.
Thank you.
This is Larry Ryan, and what we do with lawns in the coming weeks will have a lot to do with how great they'll look next spring. Get your 2021 lawn off to a great start today at ryanlawn.com.
That's Patrick Mahomes. His press conference is brought to you by the Kansas City Acura dealers. Take a test drive at your local Kansas City Acura dealer, and they'll make a donation to Patrick Mahomes' charity, 15 and the Mahomies. Schedule your test drive today. Obviously, a frustrated, disappointed Patrick Mahomes. It in some ways might have been easier to swallow for him, I imagine, if he would have played poorly, and he didn't. I've given you the stats about how often he was under pressure, how much he was scrambling. There's a chart that I can't really make sense of over the radio, but I've retweeted it on Twitter at JB Briscoe. It was tweeted out by Michael Lopez at Stats by Lopez, showing how much Brady and Mahomes comparatively moved after taking a snap. And Patrick Mahomes his sort of drop back chart looks like a party popper. Just going in 1,000 different directions with some strays that are all over the place, and Brady's just looks like a little scribble where he pretty much lived right in that spot. Lopez tweeted, and this is a slightly different number than one we had earlier, but Lopez tweeted, the sum of Mahomes' distance traveled was 468 yards. The sum of Brady's distance traveled was 37 yards. There's just a lot that went wrong, man. There's just a lot that went wrong in this game. It's just from a thousand different angles. Yeah, it's really frustrating. I will tell you the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show is presented by CBD American Shaman. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman. Our team's score is your % off. They scored 9 points, so you get 9% off all day tomorrow. American Shaman, life is better with the feather. It's also brought to you by Operating Engineers 101 and their apprentice program. Learn how to operate all types of heavy equipment. Call 816-640-2336. Let's go to the other locker room now, one that is certainly much, much happier. Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach Bruce Arians, who this would be much more satisfying if I didn't tend to like Bruce Arians, but unfortunately that's not the case right now. I imagine that he certainly had a lot of energy, a lot to be very happy about as the victorious head coach in Super Bowl 55.
All right, we're going to get started here with Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach Bruce Arians. A reminder to media, if you wish to ask a question, please use the raise hand function. Our first question is going to come from Jory Epstein with the USA Today.
Hi, Bruce. Thanks for your time today and congrats on the win. You had quite a players contribute to this. But I just wanted to ask about Leonard Fournette's performance today in the pass catching and run game and throughout the playoffs. How impactful has he been?
Yeah, he's been fantastic, running and catching and pass blocking. He's been an all-around back and done a great job for us. Hey, can you turn this up?
Next question will come from John Romano with the Tampa Bay Times.
Bruce, could you just talk about the game plans of the coordinators, both Byron and Todd?
Yeah, I thought all three guys had great plans. Byron did a great job, I thought, of just mixing it up, running, pass, and then pounding them when we needed to. And Todd had a great plan. Keep them in front of us and let our front four get after them. And, they chased him around all night.
Next, we'll go to Scott Reynolds with Pewter Report.
Bruce, what can you say about Tom Brady's performance, especially with that touchdown right before halftime, once again, giving you guys a healthy lead at the half?
Yeah, that was a huge drive, that 2-minute drive with a minute and something. Want to start out a little conservative, make sure we got a play in, and we got the long pass interference. Done a great throw with Antonio, and he just played outstanding the whole ball game. He protected the football. We had great protection, and we found a couple guys like Antonio and Gronk. Both their touchdowns were more improv plays, and just did a great job. Great line, great tight ends. Everybody just did a hell of a job. Team effort.
Next, we'll go to Jenna Lane with ESPN.
Hey, Coach, congratulations, first of all.
Go Jams, baby.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
A few of your major contributors on offense were all guys that were brought in on one-year deals: Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Leonard Fournette. How big is it going to be, or should I say, how big was it to have them here tonight? But also, how big is it going to be for you guys to get them back next year? And when do you guys start on the process of doing that?
Yeah, I think you got to give Jason Light a ton of credit for this football team. He put a great roster together, picking up those guys and still staying cap friendly. And we've got a very limited time to get into free agency, and we'll try to keep our guys. That's for sure.
Next, we'll go to Greg Allman with The Athletic.
Hey, Bruce, congratulations. I just want to ask you about Todd Bowles and this defense and what you guys have done with 3 straight rematches in the playoffs to pull out these 3 wins as you have.
Yeah, you can't give him enough credit. I think he got a little tired of hearing about how unstoppable they were. I thought he came up with a fantastic plan just to keep them in front of us and tackle real well. And that Patrick wasn't going to beat us running. We let him run all day and just keep chasing him around and see if we can make some plays.
We'll go to Lindsey Jones with The Athletic.
Hey, Coach Arians. You already talked about wanting to bring a lot of your guys back. What is your future here? Is there any chance that you might decide to retire after winning a Super Bowl? Will you be back with the Bucs next year?
Hell no, I ain't going anywhere. I'm coming back, try to get 2. And then we'll see after that. But no, this football team, I love these guys. And we have a great staff, great team. Hopefully Jason and I can get together and keep most of them and try to repeat.
Next, we'll go to Chris Ryan, WGIR.
Hey, Coach, congratulations. The poise and confidence that Tom played with tonight, obviously, is something we've seen throughout the course of his career. At what point this season, did you know that he was going to be able to have the type of success he had in getting you guys where you went?
Yeah, it was a slow, steady progress every game, every week. And really the second half of the Chiefs game, well, we made a nice comeback, but I think really the 31 points we put on Atlanta in the second half, we started attacking more. And, we haven't stopped attacking since.
Go to Nancy Armour with the USA Today.
Hey, Bruce, congratulations.
Thank you, Nancy.
You have spent so much time on staffs. You had waited a long time for this moment. Can you put into words what it was like? And especially, I know your mom was there. What was it like to have your family and some of your friends from where you grew up come in for the game?
Oh, it's fantastic. We had a great day and a half with mom and my brothers and sisters and brothers and sisters-in-law and grandkids. I had a great morning this morning playing with my 2-year-old grandson out in the backyard and pushing him on the swing, and then came to the game. So that's what makes this all so gratifying is to be able to share it with our family.
Go back to Greg Allman with The Athletic.
I just want to ask you about Gronkowski. Obviously, he and Brady have such a history together in the postseason, but what it meant to get the 2 touchdown catches for some separation early.
No, that was huge, man. That was huge, especially that second one. Gronk made a great adjustment, but man, with the protection was unbelievable for Tom to hold that ball that long, and Gronk made and then made a great throw and catch.
Go to Mark Cannizzaro with the New York Post.
Sorry about that. Bruce, can you hear me?
Yes, Mark.
Hey, congratulations, man.
Thank you, bro.
Hey, could you just reflect on, just being in the TV booth just a couple of years ago and now being a part of this right now, and just, what this means, and if you could have ever imagined this moment?
No, not really. I think I'd have been smoking something illegal to really imagine this. I just can't thank Jason enough and the Glazier family for giving me this opportunity, and my coaching staff. I mean, they are outstanding. I don't do anything, man. They do it all, and we have great players. And again, Jason gets all the credit for the roster, and I just try to get out of the way and not screw it up.
Go back to John Romano with the Tampa Bay Times.
Hey, Bruce, I know you had a plan and I know you were confident, but when you step back and look, just how improbable was it that all of these pieces came together in such a short time?
It really wasn't that improbable, John, when you think of the professionals that they are. These guys have history in the playoffs. When you start adding Tom, then Robbie, Leonard went to the championship game, AB's been in playoffs, and they brought that confidence to all our guys. We were a very talented football team that nobody wants to give us credit for, but we're a very talented football team. We just need to believe. And the hardest thing is to build a culture where people start believing. And we started believing pretty early in the season, and we knew we were going to be a tough out. All we had to do was get in the playoffs.
Go back to Lindsey Jones with The Athletic.
Can you hear me okay now? Sorry.
Yeah, Lindsey.
So what comes next, do you think, when you're talking about trying to run it back? We saw tonight how difficult that was on the Chiefs side. So what's going to be the key to keeping this group together and trying to go for 2, like you said you wanted to do?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is keep our guys, do what we can, make sure that we keep our guys here and hit a home run in free agency just with our guys, and not maybe an outside guy, but just keep our guys. And then Jason will hit another home run in the draft, and we'll continue to build this football team. And, we don't have many weak spots. If we get the guys back that we want back and need back, we'll just be adding great athletes in the draft.
There's Bruce Arians' post-game press conference, his first Super Bowl as a head coach. And that press conference is brought to you by Metcalf CarStar. If your vehicle gets sacked on the road, take it to Metcalf CarStar, the collision repair experts. They make it convenient and easy to get back on the road. Go to carstar.com and search for Metcalf CarStar. CarStar, relax. They'll take it from here. We will take a break from here. Whenever we come back, we'll talk to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show.
If ever there was a time to give that special someone in your life the gift of spa, it's now. A spa experience will deliver stress relief and pure relaxation. Par Excellence gift cards can be purchased through the Par Excellence website or the Par Excellence app. We appreciate your support of small local businesses, and we will get through this together.
This Valentine's, Hen House is your one-stop for everything roses. Get the freshest dozen rose bouquet available for that special person in your life. Several colors to choose from. If you have a special request, Hen House has trained floral designers that are eager to create that unique design just for you. No waiting. Hen House has set up express checkout lanes to help you obtain roses for your sweetheart quickly and conveniently, so there's more time for romance. Get everything you need for Valentine's Day at your local Hen House.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with a Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bukaty. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Briscoe. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey investors, have you always wanted to get into the real estate investing game but don't have the money? Crossroads Investment Lending loans money for fix and flips. Locally owned and here to help you fund your real estate project. Call 913-766-2900 or go to kclend.com. That's kclend.com. Crossroads Investment Lending has helped hundreds of KC investors make their real estate deals happen. Call 913-766-2900 or go to kclend.com.
Do you want to increase your business sales in 30 days? We've developed a proven method to do just that. What if I told you that for less than $5 per day, you could increase your sales? You can with the help of KC Referral Network. KC Referral Network will promote and market your business on 4 of the most effective advertising platforms: radio, direct mail, digital marketing, and referral directory marketing. Get started today at saleskc.com. That's saleskc.com and increase your business sales in 30 days. saleskc.com.
Hey guys, this is Stephen St. John, and you know Valentine's Day is this Sunday. Are you still looking for a great Valentine's gift for your special someone? Then give her the next best thing to wearing nothing at all with soft, silky, naturally nude pajamas available exclusively from our friends at pajamagram.com. Sensuous and smooth, just like me. Naturally nude pajamas feel just like her own soft skin. She'll love slipping these on every night all year round because the texture and touch of naturally nude pajamas is so soft and luxurious, they'll melt away her stress. She'll love the feeling of wearing next to nothing at all, and you'll love the way they look. Check them out at pajamagram.com. And best of all, every pajamagram includes free gift packaging, which means you don't have to wrap a thing. Guys, time is running out. So get her naturally nude pajamas and get your free gift packaging today. Just go to pajamagram.com. It's so fast and easy, and delivery by Valentine's Day is guaranteed. That's pajamagram.com, and tell them Stephen St. John sent you.
Hey, it's former Jayhawk Greg Gurley. Kansas fans and alumni are in every city and state we play. If your favorite Jayhawk fans are missing home, send them some Joe's KC barbecue. Nothing beats home court and championship barbecue on game day. Joe's will ship anywhere in the U.S. It's easy to reheat, and it tastes just as good at home as it does at Joe's. You can ship all of Joe's favorites, like ribs, brisket, burn ends, and even the famous Z-Man. Ordering is easy, and it's just a few clicks away at joeskc.com.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with a Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bukaty. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Briscoe. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Second down, 20, 5:03 to go. Someone has run on the field. Some guy with a brawl. And now he's not being chased. He's running down the middle, the 40. Arms in the air in a victory salute. He's pulling down his pants. Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants. He's being chased to the 30. He breaks a tackle from a security guard. The 20, down the middle, the 10, the 5. He slides at the 1, and they converge on him at the goal line. And the players with hands on hips at the other end of the field are looking at him and shaking their head and saying, why, oh why, is this taking place in a Super Bowl?
The ugly play of the game presented by We Buy Ugly Houses. If you're in an ugly house and it's an ugly situation, call the Ugly House guys today. 1-800-44-BUYER or go to WeBuyUglyHouses.com. Fix that ugly situation and turn it into cash.
There were a lot of decent nominees for the ugly play of the game, but that was the one that I figured Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest, who's joining us now, would most appreciate. Thanks to We Buy Ugly Houses for their never-ending sense of humor that I believe that they have. I guess I don't know otherwise.
We're projecting it onto them.
That's exactly right, and that's the ugly play of the game that I'm willing to hear again right now. We will now go to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest, who I'm sure has some incredible thoughts on tonight's Super Bowl streaker. One of the most exciting plays of the night for Chiefs fans. And Matt Derrick is brought to you by Bob Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, Rooter, and Electrical. The Chiefs scored 9 points tonight, so you can take 9% off the Bob Hamilton Service Partner membership that includes 4 checkups a year on plumbing, electrical, HVAC, priority service, and 15% off service work. You better call Bob. We have called Matt. Matt, did you have any like early scouting reports on the streaker that we saw?
Well, I wish we got a little bit more video, but I am at least comforted by the fact that with the velvet, mellifluous tone of Kevin Harlan, no one in the business calls streakers better than Kevin Harlan. I mean, that's just, it's a work of art. He's the best in the business when it comes to that.
He absolutely is. The play-by-play improv skills, absolutely unmatched anywhere in this industry.
And, of course, anytime a streaker comes out onto a field, that gives me an opportunity to retweet my favorite photo of all time by Dave Hewlett of K.C. Wolf diving on the streaker at Arrowhead, which is just my all-time favorite sports photo of all time.
It might be my favorite photo of all time. I mean, that might just be the best thing that's ever been captured on film. It's just perfect. Every single thing about it really fills me with absolute joy, which is nice to find something that does that, because not much else did tonight. A 31-9 final score is, I dare say, not what we were expecting.
Not what I was expecting when, of course, I predicted 41-37 as the final score.
It's always the under. They always find a way to hit the under. Damn you, Vegas.
Yep. Vegas made out with a killing. Good thing is that I don't put any money behind my own predictions, which I hope that nobody else does either.
Yeah.
Because at least we got that going for us.
Yeah, none of this is financial advice. Don't take any of this. Of all of the many things, and here's the thing, Matt. Like we took some questions, some calls earlier, and there were a lot of questions about these different things, and my takeaway at this point is there are absolutely 4 or 5 things. The Chiefs' offensive line, the Chiefs' pass rush, the Chiefs' pass catchers not getting open or catching passes that hit them in the face, the Chiefs covering Gronk and Leonard Fournette, the refereeing. There are a lot of things that did not go in the Chiefs' favor. I don't know if one of them rises above the rest for you, or if you think they all sort of deserve equal footing in terms of what made all of this derail so much tonight. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on, again, sort of the series of issues that plague the Chiefs.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's hard to pick out one thing that stands out the most because there was a lot bad tonight.
Yeah.
And, about the best thing I could possibly say is that Harrison Butker had a great night.
Sure, yeah.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah.
But otherwise, special teams were pretty bad, especially the punt game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if there was anything necessarily wrong, per se, with the game plan that the Chiefs had for this coming in. It just seemed like that they clearly got taken out of it pretty quickly and just could never quite figure out what the adjustments were to make it work. And it's perplexing because Tampa Bay defensively clearly made an effort to take away the deep plays. They wanted to take off the back end of the field. They did that. They wanted to be able to get after Mahomes with a 4-man rush, 5-man rush sometimes, but mostly 4-man. They did that. You do that, and you then expect there to be a play somewhere. Can you run the football? Can you the intermediate passing game? There's something there. There was nothing there. And that's what's perplexing because, this offense with those weapons, it should be impossible to do what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did tonight. And frankly, the only way you can do it is if you just don't play very well. And the Chiefs did not play very well. The defense on the other side was equally uncomposed. Haven't quite seen that in the last couple of years under Steve Spagnuolo, that the defense looked that discombobulated and that out of sorts. But that was just up and down the roster. I mean, there was not I don't know if a single player I could point to tonight and say, that guy looked pretty decent outside of maybe Harrison Butker.
I mean, everybody. I was just trying to think if I had an alternative to that. I mean, I will make this argument probably for the next decade if I am lucky enough to have a platform in which to talk about this for the next decade. Or honestly, if I don't, I'll say this on street corners in 10 years that Patrick Mahomes was, I'll phrase it this way, because this is the way I'm going to get tomatoes thrown at me from the sideline. Not only was Tom Brady not the MVP of this game, Tom Brady wasn't even the most valuable quarterback in this game. That's where I'm going to go, because Patrick Mahomes was flying all over the place and making plays that just didn't. The first half of the play that he could control was getting made. The second half simply wasn't. You can tell me I'm an idiot on that front if you'd like, and I'll take it. But you mentioned that what the Buccaneers did defensively just isn't supposed to be possible with everything that the Chiefs do and have done offensively for so long. Can you itemize that at all? I mean, is that pass rush plus the zone coverage? We heard Tyreek Hill talk about that they ran a lot of cover 2 and cover 4, and they prepared for man. He said they had a better game plan, which is obviously just a surprising, unfortunate thing to hear whenever you're talking about an Andy Reid offense with Eric Bieniemy and all that. What do you make if you have to kind of circle the biggest issue among all of those?
Yeah, there's a couple things that stand out to me, and Andy Reid talked about one of them, and I know this will drive you crazy, but the reality of it is that in the NFL, if you're going to have an offense, which I don't have the exact play count, but I'm just going based on dropbacks, scrambles, sacks, that the Chiefs had 57 pass plays and 11 rushes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Under 11 rushes, they got, 69 yards?
Nice.
11 carries for 69 yards is nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's also not bad. It's better than 6 yards a clip, which is really good. And they just got away from it. They never gave any effort to the run game. And the problem is that if the Buccaneers are taking away the back end of the field and they're coming after your quarterback that hard, and you don't have the time to throw, the one thing that should be there is the run game. Yeah. And especially with the Chiefs and their RPO game, I mean, you can't have a distribution like that simply because if you have a breakdown of 57 pass plays and 11 rushes, then the Buccaneers are just going to be playing pass every single down.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what they're playing for and that's what they're ready for, you can't surprise them. You can't do anything. So, I think some of it was that early on they were running some RPOs that they turned into pass plays. Maybe they should have had a little bit more designed runs early on. I think that some of the reason why maybe they game planned around that was just they just didn't trust the offensive line to be able to open up some holes. But honestly, I think the run blocking was better tonight than the pass blocking.
Yeah.
And, I was just a little bit perplexed by the game plan that they came out with and the fact that the game plan did not seem to account for the fact that 60% of their offensive line was playing in different spots than they would normally be playing in. And they just weren't ready for it.
The run-pass split and everything, the part of that for me is, I don't mind the split they actually had tonight whenever it's functional. And I mean, for me, the biggest thing about the failures that we saw and how often they just like layered on top of layer on top of layer on top of layer there is there was no adjustment in that second half at all. It looked exactly the same. I mean, if you want to come out and throw the ball a ton because you have Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, God bless you. That's what I'd ask you to do that. That would be my inclination. But whenever you have a first half that just sort of feels as offensively constipated as it was in all of the offensive line issues, I mean, this stat blew my mind from Next Gen Stats, and I'll acknowledge that this does not include chips. So tight ends or running backs chipping before running a route is not included here. But the Chiefs ran 5-man protection 92% of the time. It's the third highest rate by any team in the Next Gen Stats era, which is since 2016. I'm sure you could build an argument for why, hey, actually, that's the better thing to do when you don't trust your offensive line. But it clearly, by halftime, we could have all talked about how, well, that wasn't working. They got to do something different. And it just feels like they didn't. It feels like they didn't come out in the second half with anything.
Yeah, and then the other part of it is that one, the chips weren't real effective.
Yep.
They didn't seem to be slowing anybody down,
yeah.
and partly too. I mean, the the Buccaneers just weren't falling for anything. I mean, the Chiefs early on tried some of their screen game, which is normally a bread and butter of this offense, and they just read that extremely well. I mean, it was going nowhere, so the Chiefs abandoned that pretty quickly. But and then they didn't do any of the other things that they would normally do to try and slow down defenses. Hill had the one run, I think, and kind of an end around play. That was really the only time they pulled that out.
Yeah.
And frankly, Andy Reid was asked this week if he had any trick plays, anything designed for the Bucs this week, and he said no. I thought he was joking. I thought he was playing possum. It turned out, no, he didn't have any trick plays or anything dialed up for this game. The other thing that I come back to is that, and why I will say that this was a bad game for Patrick Mahomes, even though he was running for his life and doing some things, there is a correlation, it seems like, between the amount of scrambling that Patrick Mahomes does, particularly the backward scrambling, and the Chiefs losing.
Yeah.
Because the two games this year that he scrambled backwards the most were this game and the Raiders.
Yeah.
Lost both those games. And some of it's because when you run backwards, bad things happen.
Yeah.
You get interceptions, you get big sacks, you get losses. Your quarterback gets worn out. Your offense gets worn out for plays going on for half an hour. And Mahomes, I had a conversation with him a couple of months ago, and asked him, what he does when things aren't working. And and he said that his key is to get back to the fundamentals, and the fundamentals for him are, making his pre-snap reads, knowing where his audibles are, knowing where his checkdowns are, getting rid of the ball quickly, running if he has to, but just getting rid of the ball as fast as he can and getting it to the playmakers and not worrying about the deep stuff and just taking what he's being given. And I think he did that at times during this game for 4 or 5 plays. And then it seemed like he just couldn't help himself from trying to push the ball. And when the Buccaneers were, with the style that they were playing, that just wasn't possible. I mean, if the Chiefs, I think, had just come out and their mindset and their adjustment early in this game, but certainly in the second half, had just been, you know what, if the Bucs are going to let us drive down the field 14 plays, 75 yards in 8.5 minutes, let's do it. Because we can do that. That's in our wheelhouse. And they just never seem to.
I mean, you mentioned like the fundamentals and all of that. You look back at the Bills game where Mahomes' toe was probably a bigger issue, you'd think. It seemed like he was throwing left a little bit. He was doing more from the pocket, and things were working better. I mean, all over the place. It was a great game, and he wasn't running backwards like he was here tonight. I don't know if there is a real answer to this question, but what changes in that respect? Like, it seems, I think Eric Fisher has been underrated for the majority of his career, all that stuff. But it seems kind of crazy for Mike Rimmers going to left tackle, Andrew Wiley going to right tackle, and then Stefan Wisniewski coming in, who played really well in that spot last year. It didn't seem like he was doing much tonight, but it seems crazy for that one thing to totally neuter the offense in the way that we saw tonight, as opposed to what we saw 2 weeks ago. Maybe that needs to just be me crediting the Buccaneers more, because also going with how long Mahomes was holding the ball tonight seems indicative of receivers who weren't getting open in that zone, which also is crazy, just because that's not a problem the Chiefs ever have. I don't know. Does any of that jump out to you as maybe it's more this thing than that thing, more X than Y?
Yeah, and that's why I think that it's really, really hard to pin it on one thing that was a problem tonight. And I'll throw another thing out to you that I think was kind of the issue tonight, which was that Sammy Watkins clearly was not anywhere close to 100%.
Yeah.
And certainly some of that may have been stamina. I mean, he hadn't played since December 27th. Some of it may have simply been that calf wasn't ready. And what he told us earlier in the week, it certainly sounded like it was going to be a stretch for him to be 100%. And this offense doesn't really have a replacement for Sammy Watkins.
Yeah.
And they need to. I mean, if Watkins is going to be back next year, great. But they really need a complement for Watkins, because even tonight, their complement was really Marcus Kemp. I mean, that was the guy that was in there at times who was, providing at least a little chipping, a little blocking. But, Watkins, what he's always been able to do for this offense is just stuff underneath. And when you've got a receiver with his size, his speed, his ability that can do some of that dirty stuff underneath, I mean, that's always been what's helped open up Tyreek. It's opened up Kelsey a little bit. You know, Hardman, Pringle, they've both got talent. I mean, I like both those guys, even though Hardman, they went too early and missed connections on 3 plays where he just did not look like he was on the same page with Mahomes at all.
Yeah.
But they don't really have, you know, anybody that can do the dirty work underneath that's going to, you know, run some rub routes, who can, you know, beat single coverage inside, who can kind of overpower some guys and make some plays. Because we've seen, you know, Watkins, even when he's not getting the ball, if he can get attention, that helps other guys. And they just don't have that. I mean, when you're able to do what the Bucs were able to do tonight, which is just basically, you know, throw a little zone to double team Hill and Kelsey and just climb all over them all night long, there's not much else you can do.
Yeah, I mean, these last 2 weeks it's just been Hill and Kelsey. I mean, it's just been them. Like you said, I mean, Watkins was on the field tonight, but I wouldn't have blamed anybody for literally getting to the end of the game and not noticing that. I mean, if you went and got some buffalo dip at the wrong time, you would have missed him. It's just, and I mean, to bring him and Demarcus Robinson back, and you have McCole Hardman in the offense, and you drafted him. It's really frustrating and really disappointing for that to be an issue still at this point. One thing that's sort of multifaceted, the penalties in this game. One, I want to know how you feel about how they were clearly, you know, ended up impacting the situations they showed up in. You have one that undoes an interception with the holding on Ward. You have the personal foul on Chris Jones that gives the Buccaneers a first down instead of making them pick up that first down on 3rd and 7 or 8. You have the huge pass interference one with Breeland. You have another pass interference in the end zone. The impact of all of the penalties is one element of it. And the other element of it is one that I don't typically want to dive really deep into, but I at least want to mention here with you, is that I would argue the DPI on Matthew in the end zone was a nightmare. I mean, that ball, not an exaggeration, very, very nearly hit the wall in the back, out of the back of the end zone by 5 yards. The Breeland one, they kicked feet. I'm used to seeing that get called, even if it kind of bums me out to see it. Chris Jones got away with that in the AFC Championship game. He didn't get away with it here. I think that's probably on him. What do you make of those two sides of the penalties coin?
Yeah, I completely agree with you on the Matthew one. I think that was a really, really bad call. And I have no inside knowledge here, but I do know that, you know, hey, before a game, every NFL coach talks to the officials. Mm-hmm. And almost to a T, they try to work the officials before the game to say, hey, you know what? Here's some things that we're going to do just so you be ready for it. You know, Andy Reid will do that. If he's got some trick plays, he'll tell the officials, hey, we're going to do this, so, you know, be ready in case we have that happen. Mm-hmm. And they'll also say, hey, you know what? The other team likes to do this, so keep your eye out for that. I will bet all the money in my wallet that Bruce Arians went to the officials before the game and said, hey, you know what? Chiefs love to hold. They love to grab guys. They love to just snatch onto them and trail them as much as they can. They love to put an arm around them. Watch that as best as you can, because that's all they called all night long.
Yeah.
They didn't call anything on the Bucs because the Bucs, for the most part, were just arriving when the ball got there.
Yeah.
I mean, and those are two different kinds of styles. I mean, the Bucs were playing off a little bit, but they made sure that as soon as the ball was getting to the hands of Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, that they were hitting those guys all night long. And that's DPI too. It is. But that's not what Bruce Arians was telling the officials to watch for. He was saying, watch for the hold, because they're going to hold. And that's what the Chiefs like to do.
Yeah.
And it seemed to work, you know, because I would say that I don't think any of those penalties were unjust except for the Matthew one. That was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the Chiefs just got unlucky, because you're right. I mean, Chris Jones doesn't get flagged a couple of weeks ago for something that he gets flagged for tonight. And I have absolutely no idea, other than the fact that he's Tom Brady and he gets to get away with it, that Tom Brady can run across the field to track down Tyrann Mathieu and talk trash, and then Tyrann Mathieu gets called for the flag.
Yeah.
perplexing to me. But other than that, I mean, honestly, Chiefs deserve the flags. I mean, they were for penalties. Maybe I will certainly say that it certainly looked like that this game was called much more tic-tac than I've seen a lot of Super Bowls called in the past.
Yeah.
But once again, I think that goes back to Bruce Arians, and I think he worked the officials before the game, and it worked.
Beard just mentioned, I saw this also, that Matthew had tweeted about that interaction, and I just saw it replayed a little bit ago on NFL Network in here. And it's crazy, the stills that's going around, you would think that Tyrann Mathieu had broken into Tom Brady's house to wag a finger in his face. You watch the clip, like Brady is running alongside Mathieu and stands in him, which is like, look, fine. The peace sign being fired back at Tyreek Hill, I think is totally fair game. In fact, if I wasn't such a fragile place, I would tell you that I think it was actually really good sort of counter taunting. I thought it was pretty clever. Like, he had to deal with it last time. Tyreek Hill backflip in the end zone, fire a peace sign back at him. I get it. That, you know what? I think that's pretty good. If you're gonna dish it out, you got to be able to take it also. But that was such the Brady and Matthew interaction was such an odd one. We got about 30 seconds. We have to take a break here, Matt. This is a huge question that I'm asking you to answer very shortly. But what are you interested in terms of what happens next? Some of the very early looks into what this offseason is going to entail, or what happened tonight might impact in the weeks and months to come.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I think that fans would probably certainly want to maybe to a degree overreact to this, and I don't think the Chiefs will. I think they're going to take a pretty measured response to this. Be really interesting to me to see, what kind of deals they can get with some guys who they want to bring back. It's going to be a really interesting free agent season again this year because salary cap is not going to change much. So we'll see what happens with the market. But I think the Chiefs are going to want to bring some guys back. But I also think that tonight's evidence that, you know what, they need to go out and get some help too.
Yeah. Matt, appreciate talking to you all year long. No Almost Entirely Sports tomorrow night, so I will talk to you sometime next week, and I will await that conversation with bated breath.
You are the highlight of my week every week, Josh.
You need to get cooler weeks. Thank you, Matt.
Take care, guys.
Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com and on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Over 20,000 followers. We got him there by the end of the season at the very least. And I'm saying we deserve credit for that. Follow him there. Check out Chiefs Digest. Does as good a work as anybody in Kansas City and is very much worth your time if you're interested in keeping up with this team. If you're listening to this show at 1 a.m., I imagine that you are. If you want to watch the show, leave some comments. You can do so on our Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube pages. Our live video coverage of the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show is presented by Creative Planning, a nationally recognized Kansas City wealth manager.
Chiefs Postgame, brought to you by Casey's Own CBD American Shaman. Come on into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress-sacking CBD. Everything is better with the feather.
It's Family Leisure's Factory Direct Hot Tub Sale. We have hot tubs coming in every week. No need to wait for months. Come get your dream hot tub today. Family Leisure also has pools in stock for spring installation. Don't go another summer without a pool for your family. Come in and see our huge selection of patio furniture. Family Leisure is your one-stop shop for pool tables, shuffleboard, bar stools, and home theater seating. All priced to go. Mention 810 and save more at Family Leisure in Olathe.
913-888-7727. Awesome!
Every Wednesday at 6, it's Crunch Time Prime Time on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Me and my buddy Frank Bowe will bring you all the latest Chiefs news all season long. You guys know I'm a big believer in CBD. We will tell you a little bit about the latest products and benefits of CBD. And if you want to try any of their great products, you can stop into any of the American Shaman stores for a free sample.
Crunch Time, Wednesdays at 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
At Central Bank of the Midwest, we are focused on building strong communities across Kansas City. I'm Bill Ferguson, President and CEO. Our strong roots began more than 100 years ago in the heart of the Midwest and continue today across 5 states and 67 communities. Central Bank of the Midwest brings you the best of both worlds. A strong community bank with the resources and technology to deliver a legendary banking experience. Central Bank of the Midwest, strong roots, endless possibilities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Briscoe. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
WHB Kansas City.
Brady so far tonight, 11 of 15, 94 yards and a short touchdown pass. Now he's under center from the Kansas City 17. He's got a 1st and 10. He gets the snap. He fakes the handoff. He gets a block from his left tackle. Here's a 4-man rush. Looks long. Line drive. End zone. Caught. Gronkowski. Back to the end zone. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Tom Brady has just thrown his 2nd touchdown pass tonight to Rob Gronkowski. That a laser from 17 yards. There was a flag. It's on the Chiefs. The Buccaneers have gone up by 10, 6:05 in the first half of Super Bowl 55.
The Tully touchdown of the game presented by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. Tullamore Dew is the original triple blended, smooth sipping Irish whiskey made exactly for these great moments in fandom. Please drink Tullamore Dew responsibly.
I think that might be the first time in the history of our Tully touchdown of the game that it has been a touchdown not completed or run in by a member of the Kansas City Chiefs. They did not score a touchdown today, which is just a remarkable thing to say out loud. The Super Bowl ends 31-9. The Chiefs fall in pretty devastating fashion. The good news is that I have a very large bottle of Tullamore Dew smooth sipping, triple blended, smooth sipping Irish whiskey at home that's not completely full, but also isn't completely empty. Thanks to Tullamore Dew for being good sports all year long. This is the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show, and it's brought to you by Operating Engineers Local 101 Apprentice Program. Learn how to operate all types of heavy equipment. Call 816-640-2336. We'll go back to the podium now. Chief Safety Tyrann Mathieu spoke to the media after the game. Always insightful. We were just talking about him with Matt Derrick. Always interesting and should provide some pretty good perspective on what was going on with the Chiefs defense. I've said this. I know they gave up 31 points, but the Buccaneers wide receivers were largely wrangled. That was of all the things I was wrong about coming into this game. The receivers being handled by this secondary, I was right about. The issue is that Gronk and the running backs out of the backfield ended up being a menace to the Chiefs secondary. Really frustrating, really disappointing performance. I'm sure Tyrann Mathieu was frustrated with the season ending one game short of the run it back tour ending how it was supposed to with another Lombardi trophy. Let's hear from Tyrann Mathieu after the game.
Hey, Tyrann, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, what's doing, my man? Listen, my show is First Class Fatherhood. It focuses on fatherhood and family life. You've been on the other side of this where you guys came away with the victory. What kind of lesson can you take away from this to teach your kids later down the line?
Well, you got to learn how to win, and then most definitely you got to learn how to lose. And I think you can learn from both. Obviously, winning, you kind of, underrides,
just losing. But you got to learn how to win and lose in this league. Obviously, everything's not going to go your way. Every ball won't bounce your way. You're competing against other players that are just as talented as you, and those guys work hard as well. So, the best team won today. It was a bad day for us to play the way we did.
Yeah, well said. I think everybody agrees that you got robbed out there today, and you handled yourself with class. So good job by you.
We're going to go next to Chris Ryan. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, just your thoughts on what Tom was able to do against you guys tonight, and a little bit on the altercation between you two.
Well, it's football. So guys are gonna, go back and forth. I think really, it was about three possessions there. Well, at least 21 points, 24 points that those guys scored. They all came after penalties, right? Like third down penalties, first down penalties. Us giving those guys another chance to extend their downs. And I mean, anytime you do that against any good football team or any good quarterback, they're going to make you pay for it. So, we had the one interception that got called back. That's the way the game go. Like I said, man, you got to take the winning and then you got to take the losses as well, and got to try your best to learn from them all.
We're going to go next to Samuel Rodriguez.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I was wondering, we saw you getting frustrated going into the second half, right when you were talking to Tom Brady. What did Coach Reed talk to you about in the locker room to help calm you guys down to get ready?
Well, I thought we were fine. Obviously, this is the ultimate football game. Emotions are going to get high. I think we got great coaches and great leaders. I think those guys are always, preaching to us to keep our composure, no matter the situation, no matter the circumstances. But, I felt like we did a great job just kind of, keeping our composure, and just trying to play, just finish the game strong as we can.
Thank you.
And we're going to go next to Jason Alex.
Mr. Matthew.
Hello.
Mr. Matthew, the running game seemed to be a hell of an issue tonight. They ran a lot of screens, draws, and leads. Did the running game get you out of position whenever they did take their deep shots?
Well, listen, this is a good football team. They got two great running backs that could really do it. They got a great offensive line. They got a quarterback that can get to the line of scrimmage and put those guys in the best situation possible. So, it's always a great challenge anytime you're going against a great quarterback, but also, a double-headed monster, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got. So, we definitely didn't play the run as well as we had wanted to. Obviously, we kept those guys out of the end zone for the most part on the ground. I think Leonard had one long run for like 25, 30 yards. But I was most proud of the goal line stand. I think that's our character. I think that's who we are as a defense. And, it just sucks. Like I said, you got to learn from these moments. Try your best to grow from them.
You have a sixth sense on the field, by the way. Even though the play was overturned, when the ball was tipped, you were right next to the ball for the interception. That's excellent defense, sir.
Thank you.
And we're going to go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Tyron,
hey.
What's most disappointing about getting this far and losing, considering this running back was the theme this year? And was there anything that you wanted to say to your teammates before walking off the field?
I'm proud of my group. Listen, man, it's been a very tough year for everybody. I'm proud of the way we kept our heads down. It's tough to even get back to this point in this league. Everybody's gunning for you. Everybody wants to make it hard on you because they think you have it easy. But I'm proud of the way we finished. I thought we finished like champions. Obviously it was those guys' party, but I'm most proud of the way we carried ourselves. The last 2-3 minutes of the game. I probably say I'm most proud of that moment.
And we're going to go next to Adam Kilgore. Go to Adam.
Aaron, you guys have gotten down before in games often, and then have always been able to come back. Was it like how difficult, I guess, is it to like process when it goes like this, where it just seems like they kind of wouldn't let you guys get back in the game, and sort of how was just that experience? Did it feel odd to watch your offense get kind of kept down like it was?
I mean, like I said, it was a bad day for us to kind of have a bad day. Usually, we complement each other really well. Today, the ball just didn't bounce our way. The calls just didn't go our way today. And so, like I said, you got to learn how to win in this league, and then you got to learn how to lose. I think losing is the hardest truth, that you have to learn. And so, but like I said, I'm proud of the way we handled ourselves, especially when we knew those guys were, going to go away with the victory. I'm just proud of my group.
Was there anything about their offensive plan that surprised you, or anything that was particularly effective they were doing that, kind of stands out now?
Nah, I mean, I thought Tom Brady took care of the football pretty well. Really the whole game. I thought he, made the plays. He got his offense in the right positions to, to make plays. Like I said earlier, man. 3 or 4 possessions there where those guys get points, we could be off the field. We got a lot of penalties called on us, and those are the things you got to learn from. You got to, and even if you do get a penalty call on you, you got to find a way to hold a team to 3 points. And we couldn't do that today. Those guys won. They did it.
We're going to go next to DJ. Go ahead.
Hey, Tyron, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. So during this game, obviously in the first half, there were a lot of calls that went against you guys, in particular the defensive unit. Do you feel as if those calls, after you had made stops on the defensive end, kind of played a role in you guys maybe showing fatigue, or maybe even in a way feeling a little bit dejected mentally?
I mean, listen, man, it's tough. That's a top 5 scoring offense. Anytime you give those guys new sets of downs, it's tough to keep them out of the end zone. Our offense is the same way. If you give those guys a fresh set of downs, they get some confidence, they get some momentum going, and they got a great quarterback that understands that. So they found a way to punch the ball in the end zone, but we got to find a way to not have those penalties to help those guys extend their drives.
We're going to go next to Austin Foley. Go ahead.
Hey, Tyron, how you doing?
Hey, good.
Hey, the exchange you and Brady had earlier in the game, what was exchanged between you guys, and how did that affect your play the rest of the game?
I don't think it affected my play at all. I thought I played as hard as I can today. Listen, Tom Brady's a great quarterback. I never really saw that side of Tom Brady, to be honest. But whatever, no comment. It's over with. I'm done with it.
We're going to go next to Raphael. Go ahead.
Hey, Tyron, Raphael from the 3-point conversion. Tyron, now you've been on the winning side, and now that you're on the losing side, the young players, the rookies, what do you tell them in the game, like after a loss like this?
It's all about not letting it, get you down. Obviously, we weren't able to reach our ultimate goal, which sucks, but we got a good football team. We got a young football team. And I think the most important thing for us is to, learn from this, to grow from this, to come back next year, with our hair on fire, and really do what it is that it takes to win every football game. Like I said, we got a great football team. We got great coaches. It's just a bad day for us.
And if I could get a follow-up, I don't know if you talked about the penalties, but I just wanted to ask, when you get penalties like that, and of course you all don't agree with it, is it hard to kind of get back in focus knowing that the calls are not going your way?
Nah, I mean, that's, listen, it's no excuses, right? Like, it's a lot of things that go with, playing in this game. Obviously, you got to deal with opponents. You have to deal with referees. That's all a part of the game. We can't necessarily make any excuses about it. like I said, it sucks because this was the biggest game of them all, right? Like, there's no redos, you can't start over. But hopefully this moment right here could really carry us, for some years to come. Because we know, we're not the kind of football team that should lose 31-9.
I think that's a very fair dismount there from Tyrann Mathieu. They're not a team that should lose 31-9. That seems fair because they never lose like this. Patrick Mahomes, as a quarterback of this team, has not lost until tonight a game by more than one possession. The last time he had lost by more than one possession was in 2016 when he was playing with Texas Tech. This is not the effort you want to see in the biggest game on the biggest stage. Just absolutely brutal on so many levels. It's the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show. It's brought to you by Operating Engineers Local 101 Apprentice Program. Learn how to operate all types of heavy equipment. Call 816-640-2336. Also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day. Let's hear from someone on the offensive side of the ball. Now let's go to Travis Kelce. You're going to hear him talk about, the struggles of the offense as well. He is the best tight end I've ever seen. I think he should have been the offensive player of the year in the NFL this year. And also, he was not perfect today either. Everybody on this team had some significant mistakes today, except for, as Matt Derrick said, maybe Harrison Butker. I think Mahomes didn't necessarily play a perfect game. There were a couple of misses. I think that's fair. I don't think his mistakes were on the same level as some of the others that we saw, straight up drops in a couple different places. But Kelce, even for his faults in this game, was one of the few things that worked at least often enough. Let's hear from the Chiefs tight end following the loss in the Super Bowl.
How's it going, everyone? We're here with Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. We'll go ahead and get started with questions. He'll be with us for about 5 minutes. And we'll take our first question from Jake Malik of Sideline Sports.
Hey, Travis. Congrats on a great season. I know this is not how you wanted it to end. Offense couldn't quite get clicking today. Can you walk me through maybe what didn't go right and what you guys may be able to fix for the next, for next season?
I guess we got to be better in the red zone, right? The 3 points isn't going to do it early on. They were putting up touchdowns, we were putting up field goals, and what that did was it put their defense in an opportunity to play a little bit deeper and make us kind of work the ball downfield. And from that point, it was just a lot of mistakes. And you can't win the ball game with turnovers. You can't win the ball game with penalties. And sure enough, we didn't execute in either one of those areas.
We'll go next to Danny Heifetz with The Ringer.
Hey, Travis. Patrick seemed to just start running backward for like long stretches in the second half. How many plays kind of just seemed to be dead right from the snap with the pass pressure?
Can't really put a finger on it. I think it was once we got down a good amount, I feel like their defensive line kind of thrives off of being able to just pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. And sure enough, they had it schemed up pretty well.
We'll go next to Aaron Ladd from KSHB.
Travis, ESPN has Patrick as running around for 497 yards before he could even get the throw off. How does that impact, what you all are trying to do and your routes and all that?
Well, first things first is I gotta be able to get open so that he's not flying around like that. And then on top of that, just being there for him when he does get out of the pocket. I feel like he's had a magic Mahomes type kind of creativity when he does get out of the pocket. So I mean, it's not like you're mad at him for doing it or anything like that. It's just kind of how the game went, and it's not what we want to do as an offense, but at the same time, guys were out there just trying to make plays.
We'll go next to Tom Akins from AP.
Travis, talk a little bit about
the defensive schemes that you guys had to cope with tonight. As you said, the Bucks seem to have things schemed up. But what was the most difficult thing that you guys tried to challenge to get free and get ready to move the ball?
I feel like they made us kind of dink and dunk, take what was there. They put a cap on the defense, or they put a cap over top and didn't let us get behind the defense, knowing how much speed we have. And sure enough, what that made us do is try and run the ball a little bit better. But their front seven is second to none in the league, and it's just it was frustrating. It was one of those days where it just felt like anything you did, they had to answer for.
We'll take two more questions. The first one going to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest.
Hey, Travis. Patrick just said that the offense seemed wasn't on the same page from the beginning, as far as he wasn't getting the ball out on time, receivers not being where he expected them to be, and obviously guys getting through the line. Is there anything you can really put your finger on? It's just as maybe why you guys didn't come out on the same page like you usually do.
No, there's nothing I can really put my finger on. It's just we were a tick off, and sure enough, putting up only 6 points in the first quarter and or 2 field goals, leaving points on the board, and on top of that, just drop balls. There was a huge drop pass, which then set up the punt that we got a penalty on, and then we had a shank punt, and then they just went up 21-6. And I mean, at that point, a lot of momentum was on their side, and it was just tough sledding from there.
And we'll take our last question from Jennifer Lee Chan of NBC Sports.
Travis, were you surprised at how many penalties were called against your team versus last year, where it seemed like they just let you play?
I'm not going to get into the penalties. We got to play the game by the rules, and just be better. No excuses.
I said this earlier. I'll say it again, that if the officiating was perfect in this game, the Chiefs would have lost still by more than one possession. They certainly would have just lost, period. So I think it's fair to point out the deficiencies in the refereeing in this game, as long as you can acknowledge that fact. I think it's also one of the reasons that you're not going to hear any of these guys harping on it. It's not just to be sort of, to put it in sort of reductive terms, politically correct about it. It's not that they just don't want to get fined. I think genuinely no one is going to sleep tonight thinking, man, the refs cost us from going back to back. Didn't help. There was at least one very bad call, the one on Matthew in the end zone. But it wasn't the thing standing between the Chiefs winning and losing this game. They got handled by the Bucs, and they got beaten in pretty much every feasible aspect of this game. This is the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show. If you want to interact in a number of ways, you can do so on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube channels. We'll also have Almost Entirely Sports there all week long. I don't think we have a show Monday or Thursday in all likelihood, but whenever we have AES, it'll be there. We also have all sorts of other video content on most of those places. So you can go subscribe, go follow at youtube.com/810WHB, twitch.tv/sportsradio810, and facebook.com/sportsradio810. And all of our live video coverage is brought to you by Creative Planning, a nationally recognized Kansas City wealth manager. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more press conferences, more audio. Eventually, we're going to have to hear from Tom Brady. Might save that till towards the end, though, so you have a chance to go to sleep before you have to hear from Brady, who is now at an unbelievable 5 MVPs in the Super Bowl, 7 rings altogether. We'll hear from more Chiefs, though, first, whenever we come back here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show.
Chiefs Postgame, brought to you by Operating Engineers Local 101 Apprentice Program. Learn how to operate all types of heavy equipment. Call 816-640-2336. Hey guys, it's time to think about Valentine's Day. So give her a gift she will cherish forever and hand down to the next generation. Get her jewelry from Mazarise. Now is a great time to pop the question with a one-of-a-kind engagement ring, or let them design the perfect ring for you. Whether a classic watch or designer necklace, it's at Mazarise Jewelry. Come in and experience superior customer service, or shop online at mazarisjewelry.com. Mazarise Jewelry in Leawood, Kansas. In the business of forever.
Do you have a financial advisor? Or maybe thinking of getting one? Make sure your advisor is a fiduciary. That's someone who's legally required to serve your best interests. Stockbrokers and mutual fund sales reps, they aren't fiduciaries. Luckily for you, all the financial planners at Edelman Financial Engines are fiduciaries. And you can get your own personal fiduciary financial advisor real easy by calling 888-PLAN-RIC. And if you call now, you'll get a free retirement review and a personal financial plan to help you reach your goals. An $800 value. And when you meet with us, we'll give you answers to the key questions you need to ask any financial advisor to help you properly evaluate them, like what are the total costs you'll pay, and what investment changes did they make due to COVID. So call us at 888-PLAN-RIC by Tuesday, 10 p.m. We'll make sure you're getting the right financial advisor. Call now, 888-PLAN-RIC by Tuesday, 10 p.m.
At Central Bank of the Midwest, we are focused on building strong communities across Kansas City. I'm Bill Ferguson, President and CEO. Our strong roots began more than 100 years ago in the heart of the Midwest and continue today across 5 states and 67 communities. Central Bank of the Midwest brings you the best of both worlds, a strong community bank with the resources and technology to deliver a legendary banking experience. Central Bank of the Midwest, strong roots, endless possibilities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with a Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Briscoe. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Whether you're looking for energy savings for the winter or updating your home office or man cave, One Stop Decorating is the place for beautiful energy-efficient window coverings. One Stop Decorating offers free in-home or virtual consultations, or you can come into one of their 3 beautiful showrooms to see all the window coverings in their Hunter Douglas galleries. Ask about smart shades that can be controlled by Google, Alexa, and HomeKit. 913-270-0408, 913-270-0408, or onestopdecorating.com. Your home, your windows, your style.
Third down 8. Brady in the gun. Moving from our right to our left on the grass here in Tampa from his own Tampa Bay Buccaneer 35. Arms extended. Shotgun snap. Drops back 3. Right tackle block. Hit and sacked. Back he goes on the hash mark at about the 28-yard line. Brought down on the play. Clark was there and a handful of others, including Okafor. They were tag teaming. They come up the middle. They lose 6. The first sack by the Chiefs defense. Put them back at the Buccaneers 29. It is 4th down and 14. And for a second consecutive possession, the Buccaneer punting unit is out there.
That is our play of the game, sponsored by Central Bank of the Midwest. Take a new look at what's possible with Central Bank of the Midwest. Visit centralbank.net. Boy, what a different time in the game that was. And also, what a sign of how this game went, that our play of the game is a nice Frank Clark sack. It's just that I kind of thought that the play of the game might be like I don't know, Travis Kelce's 4th touchdown to make it 41-10 Chiefs. I also just said 41-10 as a joke, but the final score was 31-9. Not a whole lot better. Just brutal. It's the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show. Thanks to everyone who is still hanging out with us here tonight. If you missed any of the show, or you want to make sure you get back to any of it, or you want to share the show with somebody else, you can do that. It'll be podcasted later tonight. It'll be available both in the additional programming section of 810WHB.com and in the 810 mobile app, or on the Almost Entirely Sports feed, available in both of those places. The Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show, by the way, is brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day. It only took 20-some weeks, but I remembered that 5-second liner without having to read it off of the sheet that time. So, just, you know.
You'll be ready for next week.
Yeah, wow. I guess that I was going to say that hurts, but I mean, if they would have won, there still would have been no next week. But it would be fine that there's no next week, you know what I mean? Because they would have won. Who's ready for baseball? No? Me neither. You heard that sack there from Frank Clark. Let's hear from the Chiefs edge rusher. He had a nice start to the game, and then I don't remember what really happened after that. I don't know. It ended up being a whirlwind of sadness. Let's hear from Frank Clark as the Chiefs fall to the Buccaneers in Super Bowl 55.
What were some of the things that happened during the game that took you guys out of your rhythm? Did the penalties affect some of your play?
Yeah, penalties play a big part. You know what I mean? Penalties play a big part. You just gotta be able to go out there and execute. Unfortunately, we wasn't able to execute tonight. Just don't show it off.
What were some of the things they were doing offensively that really hurt you guys as far as?
Patrick, do we lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I was just asking about the execution, how well they were executing. How did that affect you guys in your play? And it didn't seem like you guys were able to get in to the rhythm that you had during the AFC Championship game.
Really it come down to execution. I mean, they executed better than we did on all fronts. Penalties, they was the more, I say, they was least penalizing us by damn near 100 yards. I mean, when you playing that type of football, you know, you're going to make it hard for yourself. I've been in plenty of games where, you know, we won the penalty battle and, you know, we kind of made it harder on ourselves, you know, but then, you know, you get bailed out a few times, you know, throughout the season, or, you know, you might not affect but then eventually everything like that comes back to bite you in the end. So, you know, the penalties, missed tackles, just not executing like we should on all fronts, you know, was the result.
Next question is from Herbie at Kansas City Star.
Hey, Frank, you touched on the penalties there, and your teammate Chris Jones says that he was surprised at the amount of times the Chiefs were penalized this game. How much do you agree with that? Were you surprised at how often the penalties went against you guys tonight?
I'm not surprised. I mean, action is action. I mean, at the end of the day, we know what we're getting ourselves into, man. You know, you understand who the reps are. You understand what you got getting yourself into. You understand what's not going to get caught. So, you know, I'm not going to sit and say penalties is the reason why we lost. And, you know, it's multiple things. Like I said before, man, it's execution. You know, you got to execute. You got to make tackles. Can't expect to go out there and win games when you missing tackles. And, you know, running backs, they getting the extra yardage. They getting the extra 4 or 5 yards here, getting the extra 4 or 5 yards there. That all comes from playing gap sound defense and trusting each other.
Next question is from Jennifer Lee.
Rick, how much different was this game called compared to last year's Super Bowl?
Man, it was called like a Super Bowl. Like I said, it's no excuse for nothing. A lose is a lose, a win is a win. You can play the referee part if you want. No, I ain't gonna play that story. It's a win. It's a fair win, man. Tampa Bay won.
One more question. ESPN Deportes.
Hi, Frank. What do you think they made for you to be blocked after you made 2 key plays during the first quarter? And did the Buccaneers do something that you didn't expect through the game?
Nah, not really. Kind of expect everything, you know. Buccaneers, I feel like they just did an excellent job with their game plan. Some of the things, you know, that are my strengths, I wasn't able to showcase because, you know, they got up on us, and, you know, it's a different type of ball game when you're playing from behind. You know, I was defending the run a lot. You got to defend the run a lot, man. And, you know, when you're not able to really get off the field or stop the run, you like I said, they churn getting away at yards, getting, yards, 5-6 yards after contact and stuff like that. We always hurt our defense when we allowing those things to happen. You know what I mean? And we just wasn't able to execute on that front tonight.
All right. Thank you.
There's Frank Clark talking about some of the issues the Chiefs had in this game. Sorry if it sounds like I'm chewing almonds. It's because I'm chewing almonds. Thought I'd have a chance to sneak in a few while Clark was talking, and then Beards went, here we go. No, that's not true. Beard said, who do you want next to? Chris Jones. And Beard said, here we go. And I still had about a quarter of an almond that I was working on. I brought enough snacks and like energy drinks and whatnot to kind of fuel my potential ride all the way up into the Border Patrol at 6 a.m. And we're not going to do that because we do that when they win. We're still going now. We're gonna go all the way up until 2 a.m. But I was like, at least I still had my little thing of lightly salted almonds, which are delicious. But I was still kind of working through a couple of them whenever Beard said, here we go. Anyway. I'll have time to eat more almonds while we listen to Chris Jones. I don't know. I'm trying not to pass sweeping judgments on one watch at the broadcast view live in real time. Chris Jones didn't really pop off the screen very often, except for a really, really, really painful personal foul penalty that gave the Buccaneers a free first down. Not ideal. I imagine that he did make some plays and would have hurried Brady more often if it wasn't for the fact that Brady was getting rid of the ball so quickly, so many times. So not fully passing judgment on Chris Jones's game. Just hard to start with the positives for just about anybody whenever you get blown out in an uncompetitive game in the Super Bowl when you came in as a 3-point favorite. Just sucks. Just all sucks the whole way around. Let's hear what Chris Jones had to say about it following the loss.
All right, we'll get started with Chris Jones' media availability now. The first question comes in from Chris Ryan from WGIR.
Hey, just wanted to start with the penalties and what role you felt that played. Did that make it, pretty much impossible for you guys to have success on the defensive side?
And we had 9 penalties for 100 yards. That's 100 yards that, if we could have taken back, it could have affected the game.
And just how surprised did you find yourself with the result? It seemed like you guys were pretty confident that you're going to be able to have success in this game today.
I mean, we come in confident every game. Unfortunately today, it didn't go our way. Man, it's a lot to learn from this game. It's a lot to build from this year, and we just got to keep at it.
All right, next we'll go to Matt Derrick from Chiefs Digest.
Hey, Chris, was there anything you noticed in the first half as far as just the team's energy and composure? Because, it certainly didn't seem like the defense was as obviously as normal self in that first half.
I think, we gave up a few big plays, a couple penalties that I wish we could have taken away. But overall, we knew it was a 60-minute game, and we were prepared for that. So, we made our adjustments after the first half, and we knew it was going to be a long game.
Next, we'll go to Herbie Tope from Kansas City Star.
Hey, Chris, you mentioned the penalties in that first half. Overall, how much do you think the penalties contributed to the tone of the game and the rhythm of the game for the offense and defense to try to find the footing in the game?
Penalties can change the game. We had offsides, holding, especially during a tip pass. I tipped the pass. Tyrann caught it. And it was a flag, holding call. I mean, that interception could have changed the game. Penalties changed the game. We had 9 penalties for 100 yards. I mean, that speaks volumes, especially in the biggest game of the year.
All right, next we'll go to Nate Taylor.
Hey, Chris, considering that you said the Buccaneers had a great offensive line going into this, just what did they do maybe differently in the first matchup to give Brady more time?
Nothing. Brady just got it off fast and a lot of penalties.
All right, next we will go to Jennifer Lee from NBC Sports.
Chris, are you surprised at how many calls went against your team, especially compared to last year when it seemed like there weren't as many calls?
I was very surprised. This is Super Bowl. I mean, usually you let the guys play, especially in the biggest game of the year. And we had nine penalties for 100 yards. They had two. I mean, penalties can change the game.
Next, we'll go to David Melandra.
Hey, Chris, would you say that the referees had an impact in this game early on, especially late in the first half, with those three possibly back-to-back penalties that led to the one touchdown?
I mean, penalties cost the game either way. Not only the referees can call the penalty, so the penalties affect the game 1,000%. The ref. What can I say? We got a lot of penalties called on us today.
Next, we'll go to Jason Alex Fleming.
Mr. Jones, not really a two-part question, but from your perception, the penalties were a killer, but was it the long, meticulous drives, or was it the shots downfield when you guys couldn't get off the field that was more a determining factor in today's game?
I mean, if you look back at the game, we got a unnecessary roughing penalty, which they had put them on the goal line, and they wasn't able to get in. And penalties can change the game, but we'll be better. We'll be better. It was tough.
Next, we'll go to Michael Donaldson.
Hey, Chris. Look, I know it's a devastating loss. We can talk about the game, for hours, but what's your number one goal going into the off season? What do you tell these young guys on your team, to rebound from this? What's going to be your top goal going into the off season?
Let this be a positive to motivate you for this off season and going into OTAs and training camp. We can learn a lot from this game. We take it in. You're never as good as you think. You're never as bad as you think. That score. We're a better team than the score. We was off on a few areas, but it'll be okay. We can learn a lot from this.
Next, we'll go to Adam Kilgore from Washington Post.
Hi, Chris. Somewhat along those lines, I believe this is the biggest loss points-wise in Pat's career. You guys just haven't had a lot of difficult games like this. Where do you think this kind of leaves you as a franchise? You still have so much young talent. You still have Pat at a very young age. Where do you kind of go from here as the Chiefs?
I mean, I think we can get back next year. You look at the team we have a lot of young guys. A lot of our key pieces, we have them on the contract. We missed a few key pieces today that could have helped us out this game, but I think we got the potential and talent to go back next year.
All right, we'll take two more questions. First one goes to Cameron Buford.
Hey, Chris, you say the penalties can change the game, but how does that impact your aggressiveness and the mindset once you get a couple penalties? Does that just kind of build on the top of each other? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it can. If a cornerback is pressing, every time he press, they call a penalty. I mean, it can take him out of the game. It can stop him from wanting to press there because he's scared that he might get a penalty. It does affect your aggression as a player, and today we had a lot of them.
All right, last question. We'll go to Jarrett Bell.
Hey, Chris, can you put into words how difficult this is for everything this team wanted to achieve? How stunning of a result, how you process this?
It's very difficult. I mean, we as players, we sacrificed a lot, especially during this year, dealing with COVID and everything that COVID required to
continue to play as a team, and we sacrificed a lot. And just to not achieve the goal, overall goal that you wanted to achieve with the huge sacrifices everyone made, it sucks. It sucks.
There is Chris Jones kind of giving his last words on the season. It sucks. It does. It really does. Hopefully you don't think this show has sucked. Honestly, I've enjoyed doing it here tonight. I wish it would have ended very, very differently, but I've enjoyed being here alongside Beards McFly nonetheless. Eating my almonds.
I haven't enjoyed being here.
That's fine. I don't expect you to.
Yeah.
At least, listen, I just discovered during the break that during while Chris Jones was playing, apparently my Phoenix Suns and your Boston Celtics played today, and the Suns won, turning them into the Boston Celtics. So that gave me a little boost. Not a very big one. I went from being like a 0 enthusiasm to maybe a 2 on a scale of 1 to 100. And you're just still a 0. I guess scale of 0 to 100.
Yeah.
Anyway. Here, tell me what this does for your hype, Beards. You want to take a break and come back and hear from Tom Brady?
I mean, no, but
yeah.
we have to.
Me neither. Hey, you know what? I got something for you. You want to hear? Some good news? You want to hear a little option you might have? You want to? This
Does it involve alcohol?
This hurts you, right? This one sucked. This game really sucked.
It wasn't great.
You want a new job?
Yeah.
The Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show has been brought to you by Operating Engineers Local 101 Apprenticeship Program, Beards. You can learn how to operate all types of heavy equipment. Call 816-640-2336. Won't have to do this show until 2 a.m. following a Super Bowl loss. 816-264. Nope, I bleeped that up. Boy, it's late, huh? 816-640-2336. That's the number for Operating Engineers 101 if you want to check out their apprenticeship programs. Let's take a break. I told you we'd save it till towards the end. You don't have to listen if you want. If you're listening now, if you've been with us since we started this show before 11, about to hit 2 a.m., if you've been listening on the podcast or whatever, if you say, Josh, this has been great, but I'm going to go ahead and peace out because I don't want to hear Tom Brady, that's okay. If you do want to hear from Tom Brady, stick around. The Buccaneers quarterback, whenever we come back.
Chiefs Postgame, brought to you by Casey's Own CBD American Shaman. Come on into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress-sacking CBD. Everything is better with the feather.
Playoff season is here, and you'll score big at Robert Brogdon Buick GMC. Save thousands below MSRP and get 0% for up to 72 months on most new Buick and GMCs. There's a huge selection, including the 2021 GMC Sierra. Plus, they have over 200 used cars, trucks, and SUVs. Rush to Kansas City's highest volume Buick GMC dealer on I-35 in Santa Fe and Olathe, or at robertbrogdon.com. On select models must qualify and finance through GMF. For special financing, see dealer for details.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bukaty. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Briscoe. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
At Central Bank of the Midwest, we are focused on building strong communities across Kansas City. I'm Bill Ferguson, President and CEO. Our strong roots began more than 100 years ago in the heart of the Midwest and continue today across 5 states and 67 communities. Central Bank of the Midwest brings you the best of both worlds. A strong community bank with the resources and technology to deliver a legendary banking experience. Central Bank of the Midwest, strong roots, endless possibilities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Butker's going to try a 52-yard field goal near hash on the grass. Snap is good. Here he swings his leg through end over end through the 60-degree temperatures here in Tampa, and it's perfect. He puts 3 on the board for the Chiefs in his 3rd field goal tonight.
The key drive of the game brought to you by LMC Truck. LMC Truck offers quality parts and accessories for Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Dodge trucks, SUVs, and vans. LMC Truck, keeping generations on the road.
Not the drive of the game you want, because honestly, that probably should have been a touchdown or even a 4th down attempt there instead of a field goal. But the Chiefs took the points that were available to them, made it 21-9 in the 4th quarter, and then Leonard Fournette scored again. And the game kind of ended at that point. Let's hear from the Buccaneers.
Oh, very quickly before
I was gonna unceremoniously throw to it and just call him the Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback.
Well, I was gonna say before we do that, I managed to catch the very beginning of this as it was happening,
Okay.
and I need to explain what happened.
Okay, sure, yes.
Tom Brady sat down at the Zoom press conference podium. He sits there. He kind of looks into the camera. I guess he can kind of see himself in the monitor or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
He licks his fingers on one hand, rubs his cheek, licks his fingers on his other hand, goes and rubs his other cheek. He's like, yeah, I'm ready. All right, let's go. Tom Brady, not wearing a mask to the game and then licking his face.
No, I mean,
interesting day.
Tom Brady thinks that his extra glass of water is going to be the thing that keeps him from getting COVID.
And a concussion.
All right, let's hear from the 119th overall pick in the 2000 NFL Draft.
Hey, Tom, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. You ready to get started?
Yep.
All right. Our first question today is going to come from Rob Maddie with the Associated Press.
Okay.
Hey, Tom, congratulations. Obviously, every one of these is very special for you. What is it about winning this one in Tampa, first team to play a home game, Gronk being here with you for the ride, just that makes it so much more special?
Well, I think they're all special, and they're all this has been an amazing year. We got off to a good start, 7-2, and then had a little rough stretch where we kind of found our identity and played a lot better football down last December, January, and just really proud of all the guys, proud of all the coaches, the effort we put in. We knew we were playing a great football team tonight, and we got the job done. So you want to get this far, you got to get the job done, and we did it.
We'll go over to Mike Jones with USA Today.
Tom, Leonard was saying that late night you will send them texts and try to help them believe that you guys could win. Why was that important, and what were some of the messages that you were sending to your guys?
I think everybody, believed we could win. So that, I think through the last, really all year we believed in ourselves. Our coaches believed in us. We believed in ourselves. And again, we were going up against a great team tonight, and just happy we got the job done.
We will go over to Rick Stroud.
A lot of new teammates, but one of your own ones, Rob Gronkowski, even Antonio Brown did some nice things for you today. Can you talk about what it means to share that again with those guys?
Yeah, it's just great to see them, big time players making big time plays. So just love what they did, what they added to the team. Gronk's an unbelievable player, teammate, talent, work ethic, commitment, and AB is just, since he got here, he's just done everything the right way. So impressed by him, proud of him. Takes a lot of people for us to get to this point. And, we all have great support systems in place. And I think everyone should be celebrating him tonight. Robbie G. Congrats, baby. I'll see you later.
We'll go to Greg Allman.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Hey, Tom, you always talk about how you don't go up against the other quarterback, but your defense has gone up against Breeze and Rodgers and Mahomes in the last 3 games. What have they done to be such a big part of these 3 wins?
They stepped up to the challenge. And, you go up against a guy like Pat, incredible player. And,
Aaron, MVP 2 weeks ago, they played incredible. And then Drew, they played great. They stepped up. They rose to the occasion. And we needed it because playing extremely talented offenses, but just so happy we all came to play tonight.
We'll go to Lindsey Jones.
Couple more.
Hey, Tom, Hi, Tom. Obviously, you've played in a lot of Super Bowls now. What was it like to play in this most unusual Super Bowl, in this most unusual circumstance with the lack of fans, all of the COVID protocols that you guys had to go through this year? What was that whole experience like?
Yeah, we went through all of them, and we dealt with them. Tried to understand, the challenges that were going to be presented, and there was a lot of them. But there was no guys just did what we were asked, and we tried to just show up with a great attitude to work however it was. We were pretty fortunate on our team. Guys were really disciplined with all the protocols in place, and we ended up getting the job done. You looking good over there, big boy.
We'll go to Jory Epstein.
Hi, Tom. Obviously, many of your teammates had a role in this win, but can you talk about Leonard Fournette's consistency throughout the playoffs, both in the run game and the pass catching game?
He was amazing, and just did it all. Blocked, ran, just had an incredible season. We got him pretty late, and he just showed up big. It was amazing just how he performed in the biggest moments, and just so proud of him.
We'll go to John Romano.
Last one, Jake.
Hey, Tom. I know you're in the moment right now, but have you given any thought to what this all means to your legacy, to do this at this age with a brand new team, with no preseason games, all the factors that you had to go through to make it to this point?
We've been grinding pretty hard, so I haven't really had a lot of time to think about all the, things like that. So I'm just blessed, grateful for my teammates, all the people that have supported us all year, my boy Alex. It's been a great year. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Enjoy your night.
There's Tom Brady, always in control, always calling the shots, telling everybody that he's only got time for a couple more questions. I might be in a bad mood, but can you just answer the rest of the question? It's just not that hard. It's just like Mahomes talked for like 10 minutes. Was he gonna miss a flight back to Tampa? Wait a second.
He had to lick his face more.
He wasn't licking his own face. That would have been horrifying.
Transitive property.
The tongue like venom, just gotta clean up. Anyway, he's the greatest, most accomplished, decorated quarterback in the history of the sport. I can't even make that noise the way I want to right now. That's how I feel. That's a pretty dignified way of ending the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show for the 2020-2021 season.
Just making fart noises into the microphone?
Just blowing raspberries because I'm annoyed at Tom Brady going, "Come more, guys! Let's wrap this up! I got places to be!" You want to do one more? All right, that's it. Thanks to everyone who has been a part of this show all year long. Thanks to CBD American Shaman and Operating Engineers 101. Thank you to Rudy Salazar, who is not here but has been around all year long. Thanks to Marco Marquez, who was here earlier tonight. Thanks to Beards McFly for being here every week this year. My name is Joshua Briscoe. We'll talk to you again preseason week 1 next year, and then on Almost Entirely Sports later this week as the Chiefs run it back campaign falls just one victory short.
Are you listening to Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810?
I think we had a Patrick Mahomes jersey over in the 810 studio.
We did. I know.
I don't know what's happened to that. Shh. Oh, I'm sorry.
It was a medium, so I'm currently on a starvation diet so I can fit into it.
We had a Patrick